I think that's what it is.
Shit.
I think Mushoku
spice.
Tensei is exciting because you don't know what you're gonna get.
That's not even him after he dropped the bomb. That's him after he realized he fumbled a bad bitch. I know your hot take on Barbie versus
Do you?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, did I tell you?
You did tell me, but now it's
Should I say it? Like it made Toji really seem like this like badass that like sure he doesn't have the power of Gojo, but he has the pettiness to
Welcome to our Mojo Dojo Casa House. So
Wait, are you actually starting it?
Yeah, I was gonna start like that.
I thought we were just spitballing.
No, that was my intro.
Oh, I'm sorry for ruining it.
No, I have more. Wait, so I'm starting it over. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Mojo Dojo Casa House. You know, you're just Ken and we're just Weebs. And every night is anime night with the Weebs.
That was pretty good.
I did okay. This is what happens when I do the intro. So I'm Shaw.
I'm Onimaru.
And welcome back. We have a little bit of everything to talk about today.
Yeah.
So if you could not tell from the double sunglasses, which I cannot see anything right now,
Yeah.
and our
How many
pink,
fingers am I holding?
10. Because okay,
You did that for the bit.
I did for the bit. Yeah. Okay. So I could see two, but I also have two sunglasses on, so I'm gonna have to.
You can remove one. You're
Okay,
allowed.
thank you. They're like broken too. They're
Yeah.
like barely sitting on
Well,
my
that
face.
helps because I figured you'd break one by putting one on the other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, these are like $7 on Amazon because I kind of need like kids-proof sunglasses because
Okay.
I'm not at the level of having big people sunglasses.
yeah. Well, that helps.
Yeah.
Less pressure.
Yeah. But as you can tell from the pink, we went to go see Barbie.
We went to see Barbie, and it was. Can you feel the Kenergy right here?
Yeah. If you cannot tell from our mugs that we got the Kenergy going.
We definitely felt it. I definitely resonated with something in that. So
In the Kenergy?
Yeah, in the Kenergy.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our podcast covering summer, like the summer themed podcast. Even though when you watch this, it might not be summer anymore.
You can look back on your summer vacation.
Yeah.
And think of Barbie.
Yeah, because you think of summer, it's really been Barbie. So we're gonna talk about Barbie, and we're gonna talk about airing anime
And Oppenheimer.
and possibly Oppenheimer, which Shaw did not watch yet.
Everyone has let me down, and no one wanted to see Oppenheimer with me. And so I'm like, I don't have enough time to go see Oppenheimer for 3 hours, but I'm going to interview.
It's kind of tough to slot that in,
I
like a
really wanna
3-hour
see it.
movie.
I want to see it, and I'm very curious about things, so I'm going to interview Onimaru.
Okay.
Because he's seen it.
If we want to talk about it, I know. Or if we want to wait till
But
you
it's
watch
Barbenheimer.
it. It is Barbenheimer.
It's Barbenheimer. It's a cultural.
It.
It's a cultural movement.
I don't want to ruin it for you.
You won't. You can't ruin it for me. You can't
All right.
ruin it.
Well, let's start with Barbie.
Barbie. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
It's so cool. Hi, Barbie. I haven't gotten to do that to someone in real life.
Oh, yeah?
I want to see like a stranger. Be like,
And
hi,
it
Barbie.
just starts at like a chain reaction of everyone just saying hi, Barbie.
Yes.
Unexpectedly.
I would love that. I would die.
So speaking of Barbie, what did you think of Barbie?
I love Barbie. So I don't know if you had seen so much of the marketing promotional material that I'd been seeing marketing for Barbie like a year out. Like heard like the cast. I'm like, oh, the cast sounds good. The director, Greta Gerwig, sounds great. I'm like, you could tell from everyone who's behind it that they were going to do something more than just like a live action Barbie movie, which I'm very experienced in seeing cartoon Barbie movies.
Yeah.
I would consider myself a semi Barbie expert.
Like you're like an OG Barbie fan.
Yeah, I've had many Barbies. According to my mom, when we had a yard sale when I was in high school, I've had over 100 Barbies.
Okay, that's a lot of Barbies.
More importantly, I've played Barbie video games, like the Spy Barbie video game, where the gymnastics Barbie video game, and the fashion designer.
So
Barbie
you were
video
clearly already like invested in the brand of Barbie.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would go hard for Barbie.
But you have a foundation,
I have a
something to go off,
foundation,
and also in a way nostalgia.
Yes.
So like you'd be going into this, you'd have that like extra
Connection.
bit of nostalgia connection.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Like,
the Barbie connection.
the only Barbie connection I had was like, kind of being acquainted with my cousin's Barbies. I'd
Yes.
go over, she had a ton of Barbies. I got a Ken occasionally.
So
got
you
to
knew
play.
the lore of Barbie and Ken.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I would ditch Ken. I had this like cool Future Trunks figurine from Dragon Ball Z, and he was like this short while Barbie was like this tall,
yeah.
and I'd make them play together. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah.
Shipping from a young age.
He's like, you don't need Ken. You got Future Trunks. He's awesome.
He's Trunks enough.
Yeah. But that's my experience with Barbie. Besides like seeing a lot of ugly Barbies, kind of.
Yeah.
Weird Barbies.
You saw a lot of weird Barbies.
Yeah. It's like, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like I kind of barely knew anything sort of going in, and I kind of kept it that way. Like I only started hearing things like maybe 2 months before, like, oh, this, like, they might not do this like a straight up Barbie movie. They're going to do something different with this. They're going to like, you know, I think they're influenced by, I don't know, did they say The Matrix, or did they say
like the Matrix, Serial Experiments Lane?
Once they said Serial Experiments Lane, I'm like, okay, this is not going to be what people think it's going to be. And now I'm interested. And then the memes started coming out for Barbenheimer, and like it's made it seem like great. This.
I think that's such a smart thing that people did instead of being like Barbie versus Oppenheimer. I think it's so great that they did Barbenheimer.
The artwork for it went hard.
They did. Yeah. The crossover event of the season.
Like that in itself made me more excited for it and hyped for it, because it started to feel like with the latest Spider-Verse, like a canon event for cinema was about to unfold.
Yes.
Because aside from superhero movies and Marvel movies, like we haven't gotten anything like huge like in cinema.
Big properties.
Yeah.
And it's very funny because I went to go see Barbie with both. I saw it twice. I saw it once with my sisters who are younger than me.
Yeah.
And then my mom, obviously older than me. So I went, and my mom always talks about when like everyone thought like movies were gonna die, how like Rocky brought people back to the movies. And I'm like, is this our Rocky where like Barbenheimer is bringing people back to the movies?
That's what I felt was kind of gonna be like really hype about it, that people are actually gonna leave their houses to go back to the theaters in person. Yes. Like we haven't had anything that's been like driving people back to the theater.
Exactly.
And this is kind of it. So that kind of made it exciting to be like, I want to watch both this weekend. I have to watch
the double
both.
feature.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Which I think is great. So I love the Barbenheimer cinematic event, even though I did not personally participate in a double feature. I should.
I wanted to do the double feature. So I actually didn't even get to do the double feature either.
You just watched them both
I watched them the same weekend.
Okay, that's cool.
So
that's
at least
close enough.
Close enough. But like it didn't work out where I could watch both. So my friends were very adamant about, we can't do Barbie first. We got to do Oppenheimer first.
Yeah, I would
agree.
So
we were like, okay. I mean, I didn't really give a shit. I was I want to see both anyway. But I understood why. So we saw Oppenheimer opening night. I got to see Barbie like 2 days later, like Saturday. Cool. So yeah.
Okay.
And Barbie was fun.
You had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a really good time.
So it wasn't what you expected. I don't think it was what I expected, or was it what you were expected? I should have phrased that as a question.
I don't know. Like it's weird because I was expecting it to not be what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was what I expected. Yeah. So
yeah, I had a feeling,
but in a good way.
Yeah, I had a feeling it would be funny and have some like hard hitting moments, which is essentially what happened. But I didn't expect it to be as funny as it was. I think they made it a really funny movie.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I think it's just a hysterical experience.
Yeah, no, it was like really funny, and I didn't like. I can't say I expected like a lot of the moments that happened. There was a lot of surprises of how it went, but I like felt the whole time like this is leading to something. This is going to be like more than, a surface level thing on Barbie or something. So yeah, and that's where it surprised me. It felt very human, I guess.
Very human after all.
Yeah, and I actually really had a really good time seeing like most of this like sex education cast in it.
Yeah.
Or like I saw did you ever watch Sex Education?
No.
Well, like I saw like one of the guys that like worked in like the corporate Barbie.
Yeah.
Like he was from it. I'm like, oh, I know him. Okay. Yeah. And then I saw the other guy that was like a Ken. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, he's also from it.
Is he like the third Ken? Or is he another?
I think he's like, I don't think you get a good look at him until like later. I didn't notice him till like later.
Gotcha. I think I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I noticed one of the Barbies that looked like Margot Robbie. I'm like, oh, like I thought it was Margot Robbie at first. I'm like, no, it's the chick from Sex Education.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because she kind of like, I remember back then, she kind of looked like, had an air, like looked similar to Margot Robbie.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
cool. I was like, oh, that's great that they all like ended up in the movie.
Yeah.
Especially since that's like about to end in a season.
Oh, that's good to know. I'll catch up then.
They need work. So.
Yeah.
they need new jobs.
Them jobs.
I mean, this is a good way to break in. So.
The Barbie cinematic.
Yeah.
Universe.
So that was fun. But besides that, it was like very unexpected twists and turns. I didn't expect it to have like such a like it kind of had like the Barbie storyline, but it also had the mother-daughter like relationship going on, and I feel like it did both like pretty well.
Yes.
And that was pretty good. But Ryan Gosling definitely stole the show.
He stole the show. Okay, I didn't expect it to have such a good Ken storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like I really like the Barbie storyline, and I feel like I've seen some people be like, oh, it's like kind of surface level, but I think it's like good surface level,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like what you would expect from the beginning of the Barbie movie, where they're like, and then everything is perfect in the real world because Barbie exists. And we're like, okay, we know that's not how it happens. So like kind of coming to learn the difference between being like ideal and human and like, you know, kind of meeting that nice in between, which I think they portrayed very well. But I was very surprised at how good the Ken storyline was about like Ken's road to self-discovery of being more than just Ken.
And I think it was like essentially more of the Ken story. Like I think it was meant to be more of Ken's story because like the whole promotional aspect of it, when I saw the poster and when I walked out, it was like, you know, she's everything. He's just Ken. So it's like, it's clearly more about Ken.
Yeah. I think it's half and half. Like,
no, it is. But like, I felt like that's what allowed it to like kind of come like full circle, like find like the movie's heart. Because like, if you do like a surface level reading of, which there have been, of the movie, and like people have been very reactionary and vocal, like, oh, it's just like feminist, like woke, like anti-man.
Yeah.
But
then
then
is it hate men?
But if you pay attention to Ken's story, it's really not. It brings it back home to say like, oh no, we're all human and we all like have feelings and we all kind of want to be seen as people, and your identity shouldn't be like all like encompassed by like another like
person or your thing. Thing. And they literally say, because one of the things that I think is I think it's really tough to misinterpret the Barbie movie, even though people have, I think, based on what they've said. I'm like, they literally say at some point, like, you are more than your significant other, possessions, and like job. Like they literally say it almost verbatim. And I'm like, so the Barbie movie is trying to tell everyone, like, you know, be their own person and have their own sense of self-worth and not be over dependent on like relationship and things.
I think it's either a matter of paying attention, like paying careful attention, or it's getting hung up on certain like things that, you know, they like do stylistically or whatever. You're like, oh, that's too much, you know, but it's kind of just like adding to the point. Like, for example, I remember like a friend had mentioned to me like the beginning, like the opening scene with the little girls, like smashing the Barbies. Like he was like, that was a little much. It was a little ridiculous. I'm like, I don't know. It was like really funny. Like, did you see the expression on the little girl's face? Like she had just like found like the best thing in the world, like fuck the little like
doll,
the baby doll, actually something I can aspire to. I don't know. It was just really funny.
Yeah.
And then when I realized afterward, it was like an homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey, made it even better.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's an homage, and also like it's like very much a comedy. Like, it is like 90% a comedy. 20% or 10% like serious moments. And I feel like some people can't really reconcile that. Like a lot of the moments are supposed to be funny and goofy, and then there's some truth to it, you know. You
know what I didn't expect at all, actually? I didn't expect Will Ferrell to be in it. I didn't know he was in it.
It was so good. I miss goofy Will Ferrell, and he's back, and he's just like, he's got that Step Brothers energy of like, this is a catastrophe.
It's like, of course he'd be in here. This is perfect. That would be perfect for him. I did like the memes about, speaking of that part of the storyline, where it was Get in the Box Barbie.
That's good. And when you have like a Barbie in the chair. Like the Shinji chair.
Because essentially, I think in a way that's kind of what, like you could say it was kind of like its own Evangelion. Because
I thought that like people called the last scene Evangelion. So there's some Evangelion in all.
Like that's actually the stuff I was waiting for. That was the last scene. That stuff, like, this is my shit right here.
This is my Evangelion.
This is what I was waiting for. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's great they had a musical number, a full-fledged musical number. I think, because I saw some people complaining, they're like, why are people more hung up on like Ken than Barbie? And it's like, well, he has a musical number. We're in an age where the most popular social media site involves snippets of songs. Obviously, I'm Just Ken is going to be played everywhere because it's a masterpiece of a song. So like, that, and like everyone deserves a musical number. That's what the takeaway should be. Everyone needs a musical number.
Exactly. And it was really well done.
Like the scene where they're rolling up to the beach to fight the Ken versus Ken war.
The scene where they open the shirt and like the sparkles come out. He's just launching Kenergy, just pure Kenergy.
But then like when Simu Liu, I think, when he comes up and he's like waving the like streamers. That shot, like every time I see that, I like just start laughing. He's so intense, but it's so funny.
Like they took it seriously.
And I think he did a great job
What
too.
did you think of John Cena as like
as
a mermaid?
Alan?
No,
John Cena
as like a merman Ken.
That was funny.
He wasn't in it much. Like,
I think he volunteered. Like he like sought them out. Like, put me in this movie, please. And that was great. That was perfect.
Actually, speaking of Alan, I just read this morning that Michael Cera's manager almost did not get him the job.
Really?
Yeah, because they called him back, and the manager answered, and he's like, Yeah, he might not want to go all the way to London to film it, so I'll let you know. And then Michael Cera's like, what?
Yeah, and then he emailed
directly.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's so perfect. Because I heard he emailed Greta Gerwig directly, like, let me in. And she's like, let's get on a Zoom. And it's like, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, his character was very popular.
He was great. I love Alan.
Yeah, no.
Everyone needs an Alan.
He was very funny. Yeah.
When he's like, they discontinued him. Yeah, I'm still confused by that.
Well, I get why. Well, my wife was looking into the backstory afterward.
The lore.
Yeah, the lore. They were like really into it. So apparently, Barbie was named after the creator's daughter.
Yeah.
And then Ken was named after her son.
Oh,
so they're like weirdly siblings. So they tried to correct that by launching, this is interpretation, but like I think they tried to correct that later by launching Alan, which was named after her daughter's husband, Alan. But he didn't do well. Like it wasn't selling. No one cared about Alan, so they discontinued him.
Yeah, that's a no dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like weird. Like why would you pair up the siblings? It's kind of weird.
Gets weirder when you put it that way.
Yeah, but you know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I don't know. I had a really good time unexpectedly with the movie. My friend who didn't want to go, like we kind of just like dragged him along. We're like, we're going to go watch it. You should come. He came out and he was just like, that was a lot better than I thought. Yeah. That was actually a really good time. I might get it on Blu-ray. I'm like, I'm definitely getting it on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, I need to own this.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is like, do you think people are still kind of like, I don't want to watch a Barbie movie because like growing up, it's never been like inherently cool for people to go out of their way to get Barbie. Yeah. So it kind of like carries over. But now everyone's like, no, Barbie is fun.
Well, I definitely think that. And also I think if you didn't watch it and you don't know what type of movie it is, it's very easy to think like what anyone would have thought like a year ago when they announced a Barbie movie. Like, oh, great. Now they're making a movie about anything, oh, it's just another cash grab.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because they have the like Mario movie that came out.
Yeah.
Which is essentially a toy. Like that makes sense.
Yeah, because Barbie, like in it by itself, like not a knock against Barbie, but it's not something you see as like narratively driven or like something like a property that it's just a figure, it's just a toy.
And that's how it was when I was growing up. It's like Barbie Nutcracker, Barbie.
Yeah.
So what's another fairy tale? Like Barbie fairy tale. It's like Barbie takes the place of another story, but Barbie doesn't have a story.
Yeah. So you don't expect like you're going to be getting any like substance out of it besides, like just Barbie. But then you go watch it and it's like, oh, that's a different story. Like they actually made this into like an actual film with substance. So
that was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
And did you hear, I didn't pay attention to this. You know how like the daughter's name was Sasha and she's at the table with the 4 other girls? Or 3 other girls.
Yeah, Bratz.
The Bratz,
right? I read about that.
How
afterward.
cool is that? That's like such a great, just like small Easter egg.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, like I didn't know anything about Bratz, but
my
wife totally appreciated it.
Oh yeah.
She showed me like the breakdown, like all their names, and they pieced it together, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
So the T is the Bratz were like the anti-Barbie because they're like cool, like street, but like it's also, they're funny because like their shoes are like, you break like their legs off and they get different shoes.
Oh, okay.
So they're fun. It's funny. There's a lot of funny Bratz, but Bratz was like, the rebel Barbie. So kind of like, they kind of had a feud going on between Barbie and Bratz. So I'm glad we could overcome the war to be.
What, was it like a legit feud that like, did they actually, were they
I think Mattel tried to sue the Bratz.
Oh, really?
Because I think, are they Hasbro?
I don't know.
Is Mattel Hasbro? But like, it was
were
another
they selling like a lot to threaten,
well, yeah, it's kind of like when you have like, Barbies get uncool, then they get Bratz when they're in like maybe like end of elementary school, middle school, and it's like Bratz were like they looked a bit more. They had like more heavy makeup. They had more like scandalous outfits. So it was more for like preteens.
Yeah,
to thought like
that makes
Bratz.
sense. Yeah, so because Barbie started like it really stayed like once you. I don't know, girls turned like 11 or 12. It was kind of like, all right, Barbie was kind of out.
Yeah, and that's when like Bratz would kind of kick in. They're supposed to be like the cooler Barbies. Yeah. And I think there was some legal thing between Bratz and Barbies at some point.
Speaking of Barbie dolls, they recently released the Ken doll. Like the Ken doll based on Ryan Gosling's like from the movie.
That's awesome.
But it's funny because obviously it doesn't look like Ryan Gosling. It just looks like a Ken doll, but he has the mink and the bandana.
Can we say that costume design is like one of the coolest of all time?
Oh yeah, no. Afterward, we were like, we got to do this for Halloween. I got to bleach my hair. I want to get the mink.
You want to get the mink and then the whole outfit. Like I got to get on. I got to get a Barbie outfit.
It was awesome.
I got to do it. It's so good.
But like that doll is $75.
No.
They're milking it.
Oh, they're milking it.
And they had a cool shot, like, where you flip through the product, like the different angles of it. They had one shot where they had the mink like going down his arm, so they like modeled it, so it looks like really like sick.
Oh my God.
Like, damn.
Ryan Gosling. I
did it.
So this is the question that might segue into Oppenheimer, unless you had anything else to say.
Do you have anything else to say?
I don't know if I do.
Did we cover everything in the Mojo Dojo Casa house?
I think we did.
Okay.
Do you think he should get the Academy Award over someone from Oppenheimer?
What would he get? He would get leading actor, right?
Would he get best supporting?
Or would he get supporting?
He might be, if they can bill him
I guess
as
he would
supporting.
be supporting.
That also fits the meta of he's just Ken.
Yeah, that would
He's
make
just
sense.
Ken.
But he did his best in his role.
Yeah, and he's Ken enough to me.
I don't know. Is it spicy to say anything when you haven't even watched it?
No, go for it. I want to know.
I want to fucking know. That's why I'm asking you. No, I definitely think that is tough because, like, actually, a lot of these supporting actors
you think
in Oppenheimer might have done a better job. Not that Cillian Murphy didn't do a good job, but like I felt like a lot of the supporting actors were really strong in Oppenheimer.
Yeah. So that's a good transition. It's like I like have tangentially heard a lot of stuff about Oppenheimer, but I feel like it's pretty much a shoe-in to win a lot of awards at the Oscars. Half because it's got great reviews. Other half is because there's a strike going on, and I don't know how much more promotion they're going to be able to get for like movies that are coming out later. Like I'm sure there will be buzz about stuff, but it felt like these were the last two movies that came out before the SAG strike.
Yeah.
Which means the last two movies that were essentially getting promoted, and now it's kind of like, are they going to pay the writers and actors or not?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that happened, and now we're in this like weird limbo to see what happens. So I heard like great supporting cast. Cillian Murphy probably a shoe-in for best actor. But I was wondering your opinion on that.
I honestly think Ryan Gosling is a strong contender because his role, like. In Oppenheimer, they put in the work and they're strong contenders, but I feel genuinely that Ryan Gosling's performance as Ken borders on iconic.
I think it's iconic.
Like, I think it's like at a level where it's bordering on iconic or is iconic.
Yes.
That it's like, it was really memorable. So, no, I definitely think, he should win.
Yeah, that's cool.
Either he should win or, definitely
nominated at the fair list.
I could definitely see him nominated and
I think he'll get nominated.
Yeah.
Which would be great to see. I think it's going to be a full-out war at the Oscars between Barbie and Oppenheimer.
It'd be funny.
Yeah.
And it won't be Barbie versus Oppenheimer. It'll be Barbenheimer just all over again at the Oscars.
Yeah, Barbenheimer Oscars. Yeah.
That's it.
That would be
They should
great.
get Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling to host the Oscars.
That would be cool. But they're going to have to accept awards.
It's true.
Yeah, they're going to have to go on to get awards.
They should get, who would they get to host? Alan.
Alan.
They get Michael Cera
Yes.
to
How
host.
good would that be? That would be awesome. Yes, that'd be great.
In a way, I'm implying he's not getting an award.
Wait, he gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor too, and
he got discontinued.
Yeah, he got discontinued.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Who is the Oscar host? Hasn't it been the same person for like the past few years?
Don't they just not have a host anymore? Or are they back to host?
I
forget.
Watching.
I haven't.
I just see the result.
No.
But yeah, I'm excited for that. No, I definitely see Barbie like being a strong contender. It was a good time.
Yeah. So that brings us to Oppenheimer, which you told me.
And I realized too that like I like Ryan Gosling and other things too. I'm like, I think he's just a good actor.
He is. Well, I'm very happy to see Ryan Gosling have this role because, we've all been online and see the funny like Sigma grind memes where it's like him from like Blade Runner and the Drive where it's like he's like emotionless, like not having.
And then this is about exploring his emotions.
Yes, it's the exact
This
opposite.
is the consequences of bottling up all those emotions for all those movies. It's like it finally came out.
They have the two memes side by side of like him and like Drive looking like miserable and depressed and stuff, and then they have this and it's like 3 a.m. when you're a kid and you're Ken, and then 3 a.m. when you're an adult.
It's so funny.
It's so funny,
dude. I love the meme where it's the iconic shot from Blade Runner where he's like it's like the purple lighting and he's looking up like miserable, but then it's like the vision is it's of Barbie.
Yeah,
so he's just staring at the giant Barbie.
That's the plot of the movie.
Yeah, that's actually it. He's just Ken.
He's just Ken. The one they had of the two.
Blade Runner is just sci-fi Barbie.
Ooh, that's a good tagline. That's a good one. I got to see
just
that.
Sci-fi Barbie.
I got to see that. The one that I have of like on the side, one side it's Ken and the other side it's like Sigma Ryan Gosling. It's like the funny one is like when your parents get divorced when you're young versus when your parents stay together but should be divorced. And I sent that to my parents. And I was like, thanks guys.
This is what you did.
No, but in a good way.
Oh, okay.
Because they got divorced, so I'm on the Ken side.
Okay, it's good. It worked out.
I said, I was like, thank you guys.
Did your parents like Barbie?
My mom loved Barbie. My mom had a great time with Barbie. my dad didn't get to see Barbie because he doesn't want to go to the movie theater. And then my sisters love Barbie. One of them cried at the monologue at the end.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
it was touching.
I was like, oh, this is cute. And I'm like, oh, this is like the kids.
I liked how it ended.
Yeah, I liked the funniest line. That's so good.
I wasn't expecting her to just go to her gynecologist.
Yeah, we thought we were going to get a job. That's the best ending line.
I thought she was there for a job interview. That's like, they ended it on the joke. That's funny.
That was really funny. They did good with that.
Yeah.
So that worked out perfectly.
It was really funny. Because I felt like it hit, like, it wasn't just like super progressive, like super like feminist. Like, it was feminist, obviously, but it felt like it was trying to balance both sides.
Yes, very realistic.
Yeah.
Very realistic.
Yeah. So,
it's so funny. They did good.
So what were you going to segue to? Were you going to ask me something about?
I was going to ask I know your hot take on Barbie versus
Do you?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, did I tell you?
You did tell me, but now it's
Should I say it?
Yeah. So thoughts on, because you saw both, so naturally one would ask, which do you enjoy more?
Yeah. Well, I saw both. I saw Oppenheimer. So I actually saw Oppenheimer twice. Yes. I only saw Barbie once. So I saw Oppenheimer twice. I don't know if that's a hint, but I saw Oppenheimer the regular showing, and then I saw it in the
IMAX
70 millimeter IMAX, which is only like showing at a few theaters. So I'm like, that's the way it was meant to be watched. Which actually, it was amazing. Like that screen was like top to bottom, like huge. It felt like an experience. Yeah, like. Well, I can't spoil the movie. You don't watch it, but there was some really crazy scenes that like worked really well.
I think I know the general plot of what happens.
I mean, yeah, if you know history.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there were some scenes that were executed a lot better when you could see them like in the full resolution. Because what I've noticed about Nolan, and actually before Oppenheimer, I just made sure to like, now I finally finished like watching most of Nolan's films and kind of like what he goes for. But what I've noticed more is he's really into more of the visual spectacle side of cinematic storytelling.
Yeah.
But not just for like, spectacle for spectacle, but he's like a spectacle for spectacle's sake, but he's more of like, he wants you to feel the experience of the movie versus just watching, like hearing the storytelling and the plot. So like, for example, I watched Dunkirk, and I feel like that would have been better for me to have watched it in a theater where it was meant to have been watched than at home, because the movie is like, so like, did you watch it?
I know that's the one, like it's a single shot kind of thing. I know it's a war movie.
It's pretty much like barely any dialogue throughout the film.
Yeah.
It's very reliant
the one guy, like, running.
on like the like surround sound of like the war.
Yes.
Three timelines are happening.
Yeah.
And you're following along, but it's all like this like epic scale of like visuals. So I feel like that would have been better on a big screen or even an IMAX screen where you would have that surround sound immersing you, and it makes you feel like you're in the war.
Yes.
Versus you're watching it at home and you're a little unimmersed.
Gotcha.
So
that's tough.
That was sort of the experience of watching Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter, because it's like you felt like you were kind of more in it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like it's kind of manipulating sort of like the actual like environment. And
that makes sense.
That's more of what is, I think, at least some of his movies kind of go for.
Yeah.
Because he's like so committed to like this spectacle, like that he'll do all these visual effects over using CGI.
Yeah, I heard he's very anti-CGI in general.
Yeah, so like there was, I think I watched Tenet recently, which I have thoughts on, and there was like a plane crash scene where like a plane crashes into like a warehouse, and I had to think, and I was like, wait, did he actually like film like an actual plane like crash, like destroying this warehouse to get this shot? And I'm like, I don't know, and then I found that afterward he did.
Oh my gosh! Wait, that's like a lot.
So he'll get or like in Inception, in the like there's a scene where they're like fighting, and like the room is going upside down. It's actually like they built a set that's like spinning while the actors are fighting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he goes in on the visual effects. Now the great thing about that is that the credits at the end are so much shorter because there's not all these credits for CGI people.
Oh,
so the credits are like 2 minutes.
It's like it's just
effects. It's practical
the
effects.
actors and some lighting.
But there's a lot. There's like more of like a grittiness to it.
That's cool.
When you do like the actual visual effects. It's just harder. But that doesn't answer your question. So I like Barbie over Oppenheimer.
Yeah. I was like, are you going to switch up? Are you going to switch up on what you told me?
All right, this is all very interesting, Onimaru, but...
No, I was like, it was like baiting me, because you told me you like Barbie more, but then you're like, I saw it twice. If that gives you any hint, I'm like, I
wanted to give it another opportunity, and I wanted to also like really see like, okay, how would it be? And it did improve it, and I felt like it was a much better experience, but I still feel like I liked Barbie better. I just felt like I just resonated. Like it was a lot more fun and I resonated more with it.
Yeah.
Although I do still stand by like Oppenheimer is still very thought provoking.
Yes.
It's a very interesting film. I just still had some issues with the presentation of it that I had on the first viewing and I only confirmed on my second viewing. Like, okay, I still am a little bothered by this.
Gotcha.
But it's not like super huge, but it's like minor things that like hold it back a little bit for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, we all have those.
Yeah. But it was still like a really good time. I just thought like Barbie was really good, which was very blasphemous when I said it to
your friends.
To my friends.
How could you? How could you?
He's like, just wait till the hype dies down. This is because you're fresh off the hype. You know, I'm like,
Well, doesn't that apply to him with Oppenheimer too?
I don't know. He's gone to see it 4 times.
Well, so the hype is not. Well, he's prolonging the hype. This is like me with Promare. It's like you know you'll die down. It's like I'm on my 7th viewing. I'm having fun.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I really like Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I think you should watch it. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. We should have a discussion on it.
We could do a full Nolan podcast because I'm behind on my Nolan viewing.
Yeah, I think I've now almost watched all of them. All right, there's like a movie I'm missing, but
so would you say it's his best work or what's your favorite Nolan?
That's tough. I was trying to think of that, and I didn't want to give like the generic like answer, like "Yo, The Dark Knight."
The Dark Knight is probably my favorite. I feel, but I haven't seen all of his stuff.
I think it is The Dark Knight because I think if I look at it more practically, it's the movie I have the least issues with.
Yeah,
I do like his other movies, but like I think it's the one I have like the least issues with.
Yeah. I mean, I have to see more of his stuff. I'm definitely behind. I think I've seen like the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception, so I'm very much behind.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, The Dark Knight is still, you know, I saw it in theaters when we were much younger when it came out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I like this movie. It's really good. Heath Ledger, great, whatever. And then like years go by and it's like the perfect movie that like whenever it comes on TV, I'm there. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to watch it. And then I'll watch it from beginning to end. But you can also like cut in and out of any time and still enjoy it just as much. And I think that's not a good cinematic way of viewing it.
I think it because it has so many standout moments that like you're just happy to catch whatever you catch in it.
Yeah. And I still immersed and I've seen it like probably 20 times by now. And I still get just as like excited to watch it now as I did like the first time.
Yeah.
And I can't say that for many movies.
Yeah, like I don't actively think about The Dark Knight or think about watching it, but like I wouldn't be opposed if someone's like, "Hey, put on The Dark." Like it's not like a groan, like, "Oh, all right, we have to watch this again." It's like, "All right, I'm down."
Like if someone told me, like, "Hey, we're gonna go watch Dark Knight," I'm like, "Yeah, I'm excited."
Yeah.
But and that's been that way for like 15 years now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been 15 years since the movie came out. When did the movie come out?
2008.
Okay, it has not been 15 years. It's been like 13.
No, that's 15.
Is it 15?
Yeah, 2008.
Did I do the math right by accident?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yo, next level.
I never do math correctly on purpose. I always guess a number and then I'm
You
like,
evolved. I just did the math. I was like, no, that's 15 years.
15 years. I'm going to, so old. Okay.
Yeah.
So I watched it when I was 15 and now I'm 30. I'm like, yo, I'm still excited to see The Dark Knight. And I cannot say that for many movies, probably like 5 movies.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of my favorites. And Inception, I always liked Inception. So I like Christopher Nolan. I think he's like, it's cool that he has such a clear-cut vision. And I know it appeals to a lot of people. So I think some people get a bit like, you know, snobby, so to speak, about like, oh, he's not as good as people think he is. But like, I think it's cool that such a like popular guy has a clear-cut vision.
He also has like, for a lot of acclaimed directors, he actually has a lot of mainstream like appeal. Like, you know, where a lot of other acclaimed directors, not everybody like runs to see their latest movie because it could be like a little more artsy or whatever. But everybody that hears about a Nolan movie is just like, yo, like we gotta go. We gotta go see the new fucking Nolan movie.
And it's fun.
That's pretty much it. So,
yeah. So would you say that Tenet was not?
Oh, we're talking about Tenet?
Well,
Tenet was his worst.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's what
that
everyone.
movie.
I feel like
Fuck
everyone.
that movie.
I feel like everyone hates that. I've never heard.
No,
a good
but
thing
I went
about
in with an open mind. Like I was like excited because I heard it's polarizing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to see like I'm excited to like see where I land. And I heard it's like, you know, it's convoluted. And I'm like, I can do convoluted.
You're like, I'm an anime fan. I've done this.
I could do this.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to be an issue for me. I bet it's going to be like cerebral. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot to unpack. And then I watched it and I was just surprised. And I was just like, yeah, no, fuck this movie.
You're like, and I feel so bad because I love Idris Elba. I feel like he gets wasted on these like mid-ass movies.
No, that wasn't him in the movie.
It wasn't him?
No,
Which
it was
which movie am I mixing up? Who's in that?
Denzel Washington's son.
What? I didn't know Denzel Washington's son.
What Denzel Washington's son is the lead. I don't know if that was his debut or if that was just he hasn't been in a lot, but that was like a big movie he did.
I thought Idris Elba was in another big like action movie recently that wasn't well received.
He was in something, but he wasn't. I don't think he was in.
No,
I
think it's
movie.
another one. I think I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, but I was like, you know, now that I've seen The Wire, I'm all like, got to see all the Idris Elba movies, but no. Yeah, well, I will see it if we want to watch all the Nolan movies, but I will not.
You don't have to put it first.
No, I will not put it.
Hey,
first.
you might like it. It's just
I don't know.
I don't know.
So it's good to know it's bad.
Bad for me.
Bad cerebral, not
it was just it was a lot, and it was just like it wasn't enjoyable. I did enjoy Interstellar though.
I have to see that.
Which I have heard is people have had a mixed reaction to it as well, but I enjoyed it more than Tenet.
I still have to see that, even though I've heard the movies and I like know what happens. I've seen the scene of like Matthew McConaughey crying. Like it's like one of those things where I've like seen it.
He had such a good performance in that movie. I think that's part of it. Like he kind of carried. Like he was really good.
I love how Matthew McConaughey, like he just has like these iconic performances, and like, you know, this is my sneaky suspicion. Like I haven't seen Dallas Buyers Club, which is what he won the Oscar for. I sneaky think they gave it to him because he was so good in True Detective. Yeah. That they're like, he was also in that. Let's give it to him.
Well, he was. I'm sure he was. I think it was also he was just on a roll during that time. Like he was killing it. It was True Detective, Dallas Buyers Club, Interstellar. Like I think it was like a straight 5 years where he was just like,
don't let me out of my zone.
Let me do all this shit. Yeah. Wow, all of you, and then he fucked off.
Yeah. Well, I think he's starting a cult now or something.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know if it's a cult, but he's starting like.
I thought he was just teaching, but okay.
I think he's starting a weird summer camp. That's like
interesting.
I don't understand.
That's a weird kind of idea for a cult. He's just starting a weird summer camp.
I don't know if it's a cult or not, or if someone just said it's a cult, but it is very funny that he won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club and possibly went on a cult, and then Jared Leto also won the Oscar for that and definitely started a cult. So.
Speaking of cults, I did watch the latest Mission Impossible.
Oh, how was that? What is that? That's a good segue. How was that?
I mean, you know, Tom Cruise in himself is kind of a cult, but he is a Scientologist, so that
he is the cult guy.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Is it not one of your favorite ones, or
no? It was good. It's hard to like really sum up all my feelings on it just because it's like it's a part one of a part two, and it's one of those part ones that's not fully standalone. It's like no, like to get the full story,
like
you need to watch part two.
Across the Spider-Verse where it ends. It's like obviously, you know, part two, but we're gonna rely on it for part three.
No, I think even less than that because Spider-Verse still felt like
its own thoughts.
Yeah, like you could like, yo, I love Spider-Verse. Like you could have your fully fleshed out thoughts about the movie because you know it kind of told its Unless you're talking about Spider-Verse 2.
No, I meant
Spider-Verse 2. Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Across.
Yeah, it's more like that. Yeah, actually, it's more like that.
Because that one, it's like, you know, it obviously had its own identity and thoughts, but like it's part, you know, it's got a
where it kind of ended a little abruptly, like a little bit like you need the second piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
The missing piece.
The missing piece.
Luck.
Good night.
Blue Lock reference.
Blue Lock reference. Go watch our Blue Lock pod.
So yeah, you should definitely watch Oppenheimer.
I will love
whenever you get a chance. Whenever you get like 3 hours.
Yeah, when I get a nice, cool 3 hours. Yeah. I'm gonna have to sneak off because no one wants to watch it with me. So I'm gonna just be like, fuck y'all. I'm gonna be sitting in the corner, romanticizing my solitude, just like Oppenheimer himself.
I don't like going to the theater by myself, but like lately it's just been like, you know what? I'm not gonna wait on people. I want to see this. Let me just go, and whoever wants to go,
I'm gonna do it.
No, I'll just go.
Gonna have to do it to them. So, who was your favorite performance in Oppenheimer?
I think that one's tough too. There was a lot of good people. I mean, I feel like Robert Downey Jr. had a good performance.
I heard a lot for him.
I don't like his character.
Yeah,
but that's a good performance.
Yeah,
he did his
job.
Like
Robert Downey Jr. on a regular basis, so it's like he's very anti himself.
Yeah, it was just like, I mean, like I felt like I feel like he was still like in a way almost like Robert Downey Jr., but like all the toxic. It's like all the toxic parts of Tony.
That's funny. That's
kind of.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like his own separate character. He did a really good job. A lot of familiar faces in Oppenheimer.
That's right.
Like I think more than Barbie, that was a very like, oh hey,
yeah, I heard.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, it's Josh Peck.
That's a funny part. I've seen some funny Josh and Drake and Josh memes with Oppenheimer, which is funny.
I saw a really funny one, but I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, I will get to it.
Yeah.
I saw a funny the clip of like the memes going around. It was like, so Gary Oldman plays President Truman.
So he's the only actor I didn't realize.
Oh, really?
Like was Gary? Like I didn't put a name to, and I didn't realize till after. I'm like, oh shit, that was Gary Oldman.
I saw the one clip of like Oppenheimer feeling guilty,
really funny.
And then he's like, get this crybaby out of here. And I've seen so many funny memes of like Oppenheimer like, I am bringer of death, and then Truman is like, this is the Truman administration, motherfucker, we're going to hell in this bitch. Then get your weak ass back to FDR. Like, it's my favorite. It's like,
dude, that was so funny just seeing it even within the context of the movie, because it was so unexpected and it felt so surreal, and it was just like, oh wow.
And he's like, they're like, they don't remember who built the bomb. They remember who dropped it. And that was me. It's like so funny.
Literally what he said.
I know. It's like so
like
funny.
he waved the little handkerchief in his face. Like, wipe
so
up.
funny. That is so funny that he's like, while he's like still shit talking him while he's walking out. It's like, get this crybaby out of here. It's like so ridiculous.
The memes are just funny.
Is that historically accurate?
I think it is.
Is Truman just like, shut the fuck up? We're going to hell in this bitch.
I think it was something of that was like accurate.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Although my friends told me that they're kind of like history buffs. Like they didn't like Truman's portrayal too much.
Okay.
So I don't know. They felt like it was a little too hammy or something, but I'm not sure. But then someone else said that's accurate. So
I bet it's probably like a bit hammy, but also if it's from Oppenheimer's point of view, he probably felt like the guy was saying like, shut the fuck up.
Because that's the other thing with the movie, and I don't think this is too much of a spoiler.
No, I knew this.
Because it's like there's subjective scenes and then there's objective scenes, and that was during a subjective scene.
I saw some people complaining about that before seeing the movie, just like didn't like that on principle, and they're like, I don't need a movie to tell me, and I'm like, no, I've seen the common intelligence of people. I think they need to tell them. I think they need to tell people.
That's very true.
We can know, like, when people are like, I like when a piece of art doesn't insult my intelligence and assumes I'm smart enough. No, we can no longer do that anymore.
Yeah.
We've lost that privilege. We've gone too far. We've all seen things that we've said, no, I've lost faith.
It's because our attention span has slowly dwindled, so we kind of need a little bit more of a...
That, and I just see, like, we all just see the dumbest shit on a regular basis because social media will promote the dumbest shit to get a reaction. So, like, that ship has sailed. We can no longer bank on common sense or intelligence. So I appreciate it also, like, as a creative decision to be like, no, this is what happened and this is like his point of view. Yeah. It is also like a cool thing to do.
It's like it's sort of his point of view, but it's also like things that aren't confirmed and open to interpretation are also used for like that. So like there's a few things that they play with that were never fully confirmed that are only in the subjective scenes.
Gotcha.
But versus cool like the black and white is like actually recorded in history and played out this way.
And I appreciate that. That's cool. Yeah. I think that actually is very cool.
So it gives it some like room to play with.
Yes.
So that's like, it's very interesting because it gives you a few different ways to think about the movie afterward and to chew on it. I'm like, oh, did they mean this like this? I'm like, oh, that was a subjective scene. Okay.
Yeah.
And so like after the second viewing, like there was still some stuff I didn't fully grasp within the film. So it actually made me curious to look up the history and like confirm some things afterwards. So I like spent like an extra like 2 hours like reading articles about like, okay, what was this person's deal? What was that?
Yeah.
And so like the movie did a good job capturing it, but it couldn't fully go in on some stuff. So I had to like dig it up. But I think that did its job too, because it made me look it up. It made me interested
in the subject matter.
Yeah.
So I think the latest discourse, for better or worse, both of these movies have discourse that are like authentically interesting and like, would naturally come up because of the subject matter. And then there's also the ones that are just like kind of dumb that come up from it. And I think we're on the latest dumb one of like, are sex scenes necessary in movies? Because we've all heard about both the censoring of the sex scene in like India and other countries where like I think like Florence Poe or like just naked and they like CGI like a dress on her to censor her in like other countries.
Oh yeah, I've heard how they do that. Yeah, that's really funny.
And then people are like, is it even necessary for sex scenes? So I was wondering naturally, was the sex scene necessary or any complaints?
I mean, there was like one scene in particular that took me out, but it didn't take my friend out because he thought it was great. I just thought like it took me out because it was like, it felt like perfect meme material out of context. Like the way it was presented.
The memes are just in your head and you're like, I just know this will be
like,
meme.
This is like very like, yeah, this is out there. But like the sex scenes weren't long. Like they weren't like, they were like really quick. And I feel like they served a narrative purpose, I guess, to just show the nature of Oppenheimer's relationship to the character.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. So like they actually went really quick. So
it's not even like a big deal.
Yeah, because they weren't super titillating. Like it wasn't like about like, oh, this is like super hot. It was just sort of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting characterization.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you moved on.
Okay.
Actually, her role was very, very minimal in the movie.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
You blink and you miss it. Well, okay, that's exaggerating, but like it was almost to that extent.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then when you look up the history of it, like, because I actually had questions about like, what was her deal, whatever. Yeah. And I went to look at it and it's actually like that in real life. There's just not that much. Like that is literally the extent. Like most of what you see on screen is most of what you really know in history about her and their relationship and whatever.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, they did the most that they could do with what they had with it. So
I saw one of the funny shots of like him looking like freaked out or like panicking.
You mean the one where he's touching his eye?
Yeah, like that. And someone's like, that's not even him after he dropped the bomb. That's him after he realized he fumbled a bad bitch. It's like so funny.
That literally is right after that. And I was
so
paying
funny.
attention on my second watch, and I was like seeing him do it. I'm like, oh, this is literally right after that.
It's so funny. That context is just so funny because every time he's like looking like depressed and shit, I'm like, oh, because he dropped the bomb. And it's like, no, other things.
Yeah. Now, that's the more interesting thing too. Is I think the more fascinating thing is his feelings on the bomb, like post bomb, and I think that's the interesting exploration of the film because that's also very up to interpretation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Nolan movies, they're kind of like ambiguous, and I think he tapped into something that he found interesting in how ambiguous it was as well. So he was like presenting it. It doesn't paint Oppenheimer in like either a good or bad light. It just kind of
is.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm excited to see it. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it'll be fun to watch because I don't think I've seen like I haven't seen a Nolan movie in a while, but I mean, I liked Inception a lot, and I liked the ending and how up to interpretation it was. So I like having those kind of like,
Yeah, you like a little more ambiguity in your like endings and stuff like that.
I like
right?
if you pull off a good ambiguous ending, I love it. Like when we talked about Odd Taxi, I love
I loved Odd Taxi.
Yeah, because that's a great ambiguous ending. That's why I was like, I don't need to watch the film, especially because it's a recap film. But also, I don't need any more after that. I think it's cool to imagine like what does or doesn't happen. And similar, I think Inception was probably one of my first like. I love how ambiguous this ending is.
Although he did answer it recently.
I did hear that.
But it still was kind of an ambiguous answer.
It was like, it was cool. It was like the character has made peace. Yeah. Therefore, that's the answer. But
therefore, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool about it is that like it's a good ambiguous ending. Kind of, Perfect Blue, like all sorts of those ones are like definitely really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I've come to appreciate like ambiguous endings more as I've gotten older because when I was younger, I was just like, okay,
tell me what happens.
Yeah. Like, I need to know.
But it doesn't work for every story.
Yeah.
It can only work for like some situations. Otherwise, it just feels like not an ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I think about Oppenheimer. I recently watched The Prestige. That was pretty good.
That's a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, it was a really good film. It's a very you know what? I didn't expect it to be such a petty film. It's a very petty film.
Oh, petty?
Yeah.
Like people are being petty and like.
I think it should be called The Petty.
The petty. That sounds perfect for me.
But it's good. It's good.
I'm
it's
excited.
just the petty goes hard.
Oh, I don't even know what that means. So
I wasn't even expecting that at all. I was expecting like this. I mean, it is complex, but it's rooted in petty.
Oh, okay. I love that. That's it.
Just put it that way.
I'm there.
So it's fun.
I will be there.
It's fun. It's long, but it's fun.
I will be there for the petty.
Yeah.
The petty goats.
Yeah. And that's all I got on Oppenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
Yeah, Barbenheimer. It truly was a canon event, so I hope it revitalizes cinema.
We need to bring cinema back beyond the MCU and other.
I've actually been going to the theater a lot,
cool.
This year. I think I've gone like every month for like 3 times a month. So
that's exciting. That's exciting. I wish I had like. I feel like I should. I don't think I have the dedication to go to the movies.
Well, the only reason, and this isn't a plug, we're not sponsored, is because I have this membership from AMC called A-List. And,
got to make the A-List.
It kind of, that part of it, and also like, it kind of pays for itself.
Yeah.
If you go to like 2 or 3 movies in a month, that kind of makes up for a ticket.
Yeah.
Like, it makes up for the membership cost.
That's cool. Okay.
So like breaks even. So it's like, oh, I might as well just use this because you're going to see these big movies throughout the year.
Do you get tickets just for your? Does it just come as one ticket? So you would, if someone went with you, you'd have to get a ticket.
It's one ticket.
Okay,
for yourself. So like if like you wanted to go with your husband, he'd have to have his own A-List.
Gotcha.
But then you guys could go. Like it would be 2 separate memberships.
Gotcha.
But like if you want to go on your own, or like if your friends have it, or if they have it, you can book for them, and then it just makes it easy.
Yeah.
And then you could see 3 movies a week.
Cool. That's cool.
And it reloads every week. You have 3 movies a week.
That's cool.
So 3 movies a week, every week in a month, and then it renews for the month, and then
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get it for when Haikyuu comes out, and then I'm gonna watch Haikyuu 3 times.
I mean,
every
it
week.
mostly applies to anime movies. That's the other
that's
nice thing. Sometimes it doesn't if it's like an event. So like it applied.
Like Ghibli Fest.
Yeah, it doesn't apply for Ghibli. It applied for Slam Dunk. It applied for
that's
Slam
cool.
Dunk.
Did you see Slam Dunk?
No, I didn't get a chance. Like the timing didn't work out. I kept trying to find the showing and like, oh, the other thing is it encourages you to go to a lot of theaters you normally wouldn't go to because you can go to any theater.
Oh.
So now I go to a lot of theaters that I never used to go to because I just look for either, okay, the seats I want, like the recliners or like the better location or like, or, you know, I want it to be closer. So I'll just like, I have like 5 theaters that I like rotate between.
Well, that's cool.
Or they have a better show time. Like, like this one's packed, but this one's open. So
that's cool.
That's the other incentive. But yeah, I couldn't get a chance to see Slam Dunk, even though I wanted to. And then no one really wanted to watch it. So like no one brought it up. And then I don't know, I couldn't go.
It feels like one of those things where I want to see it eventually, but I definitely want to read the manga for it first.
Well, the reason I hadn't read the manga or watched the anime, but I heard from a friend who's like actually is into Slam Dunk. It's a good, accessible, like introductory. Like it's not even like it doesn't start in the first arc, but you could watch it without having.
I know, and I've heard that from people who are fans too, so I believe them. I just feel like I'm so like weird about it that I want to see everything first.
Here's my counterpoint. The way I took it as, from what the tone of what they were telling me, it was kind of like a Castle of Cagliostro.
Okay, that's fair, but it also is like Lupin's so different. Because like Lupin, every entry is in Lupin is like standalone. Lupin is like Scooby Doo.
I don't know. I've only watched Castle of Cagliostro.
Oh yeah, no, that's like
I know.
Yeah, because I know this is like it's a chronological story, and I just think my like weird. Probably,
I mean, they also named it the first Slam Dunk, so
maybe we'll see.
I don't know, but either way, I missed it, so I'm gonna either have to wait or just watch the anime at this point.
I have a lot of anime films to catch up on.
I did watch Suzume with A-List.
Okay.
So that would like qualified. So it depends, but mostly you can get it. So that's also an advantage because those tickets are always like really expensive. So
okay, well that's cool. Well,
yeah.
Unofficial plug for A-List. Thank you.
Get it.
give us promo. So that's cool. But yeah. So I guess that segues well into anime. We are watching.
Yeah. What do you? So this season has been sort of like.
I feel like summer every season is like the carryover one.
It's not me, right?
No, it's like every summer.
I always feel like summer's not always like it's not like there have been some hype summers, but it's not the norm. It's not always like a really hype summer.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since it's been a hype summer. Not to say that there aren't hype shows that air during summer, just there's so much less.
Yeah.
Which I guess is good in the long run.
Yeah. Like this season, all I've been watching is Jujutsu Kaisen, which the sequel, the season 2. Mushoku Tensei.
Season 2.
Trying to think of new IPs.
I'm watching Link Click Season 2.
I still have to watch Season 1, so I can't count that. I haven't even started it.
And then the 2 new ones for me are My Happy Marraige and then Zom
100.
Zom 100.
That's the other one I'm watching. I think that's it. That's all I'm watching.
That's all I'm watching.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm caught up to Jujutsu Kaisen. You know, I got excited, and now it's like on this 3-week break.
What is good? Actually, it's probably good.
Yeah, because you read the manga and you kind of know what's gonna happen.
No, I'm saying it's good because it gives them a break.
Oh wait, because like I haven't been tuned in. Is it like been really bad for Mappa right now?
No, I think it was probably part of their plan.
Okay.
But, like I think it's good just so it's like
so they can like be able to kind of give their all.
That's the way I'm interpreting it.
It's like the rest of the season.
That's how I'm interpreting it. So I'm taking it as like give them a break. So it's kind of like a nice way to be like, okay, here's so like this part of.
I mean,
this part is the prequel, not the prequel, but there's a flashback arc, and now we're back to like the main event.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does build hype, but it was more of like, oh, hey, today's the day that Jujutsu Kaisen come out. Oh, it's a new arc. I'm excited. It goes to Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Wait, why is it not up? Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad it seemed like it was planned. It doesn't seem like it was one of those cases with like Near Automata or like 86. Where
where it's just
we're gonna wait for like a year.
Postponed.
So I think it's like intentional, which I think is good.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm excited to see where it comes. How did you feel?
So it's interesting because they have a new director.
Okay.
So I've been calling it Goso Cinema, but like his full name is like a bit different. I have to look it up. But so he's a new director, so it looks very different. But equally good. I think it looks very good. I love the style. So this one's like the hidden inventory, premature death arc. I guess that's called.
Yeah.
You know, rolls off the tongue. So that one I thought it was really great. I thought it was really cool. I had no idea after season 1 that we were getting a flashback arc for Gojo. Yeah. I had no idea, and I loved it.
I actually thought it was going to be this whole season, which
me too.
I thought the whole season was going to be a flashback arc, and then when I saw it ended, I'm like, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
actually.
that makes sense. And they're gonna get a new opening for the new arc. So it's really like, okay, we got the cool. Here's the opening and everything for like these 5 episodes, and then we're like, new arc, new opening, new ending, new me.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool. What did you think?
I thought it was really good. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I was like super invested in it. I was like watching it like week to week, and then that was like, it was good. It was interesting to see where it would go, but like, it's hard to be like super invested in Gojo as a character when like, he's like really, really powerful, even though like my friend did tell me like this is before he's broken.
Yeah.
This like was before he's busted.
Yeah.
And then in this arc he does get busted. So I'm like, okay. So I could, when he told me that like helped me like, okay, get a little more invested into it. But it was interesting, like seeing his dynamics with Ghetto, like before he becomes evil. Because I was just like, oh, that's right. Like, because I also vaguely remembered season 1, so I was just like, wait, I know this guy. Wasn't this guy a villain? Wait, he was a human. So did he die? And I was like, just trying to piece it together without looking it up.
Because you saw Jujutsu Kaisen 0 too.
Yeah.
So it's so funny how it's all come out of, it's like, they talk about like unintentional out of chronological order. So it's like, we got season 1, then we get Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which takes place a year before season 1 events. And now we're in the flashback arc that takes place 10 years before season 1. So it's a bit confusing. It's not your fault. It's like, you have to kind of remind yourself, okay, I'm like, when does this happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to see him back in the day before he was broken. Cause like, I didn't realize he wasn't broken because he's still very strong. So when
I didn't realize he was so like, because now like how he is, he's like so like caring and whatever, like how he used to be like so kind of or at least he came off more arrogant and like unattached.
Yeah. A bit more of an asshole back in the day.
Yeah, and I was just like calling him like, all right, someone's gonna die in this arc, and that's just gonna change things.
Oh,
and
and in multiple ways. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, so it's one of these girls, she's gonna die, and then it's gonna change something.
Yeah.
So
and it did. It was kind of cool to see. I think I think at this point we've both seen a lot of flashbacks. We've seen a lot of shonen flashbacks.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of song and dances for this stuff. So like, it's tough for things to be unpredictable, but I did not see her getting killed like that.
No, I did not. And I thought, nah, she's going to be okay next episode. Because you knew Gojo was okay. Like
you knew he was fine.
You knew because it showed him like dying, like Toji killed him.
But it was like, I still didn't expect him to get like beat up that
much.
No,
yeah. But like, you're like, oh shit, like Gojo, like he fucking killed Gojo. How's he going to come back? And then she dies and you're like, oh shit. But like, Gojo's gonna be okay. Yeah. So that means she's gonna be okay. So we're good. We're good next week.
We're good.
Whatever.
She was not good.
Dude, the fact that was definitive, that was final, I'm like, yo, that was crazy.
They just like, yeeted her.
Like they had to make her like extremely likable then within the span of like one episode, like to make you feel like, oh no, she's gonna be here for a while. Yeah. They're gonna like, get to know her. They're obviously not going to sacrifice her, let her be a star vessel. Yeah. It's going to be all nice.
It'll be fine. It's
died.
not fine.
She died immediately.
Oh, yeah. And that was just like, in the way they frame it, too, of like just like, and it's like, am I allowed to make that motion on camera?
It was so, I think so.
We'll find out. Whoops.
It was so cold-blooded.
Toji was very interesting because he's like, he's pretty popular, I think, among fans. And at first I'm like, okay, but like, why?
I mean, he's pretty badass.
He's so badass. And like, they really like go all out with the fight scenes. I have to say, they really like the fight between Geto and Toji in the manga is like 3 pages.
Yeah.
And what we saw was like a full choreographed, long, like multiple hallways, multiple buildings. I'm like, it's like the Matrix. Mappa. They did it. I hate it, but like, I hate praising them when I know they're overworking people, but like, when they hit, they really do hit.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And it also like made, I mean, I didn't read the manga, but like it made Toji really seem like this like badass that like, sure, he doesn't have the power of Gojo, but he has the pettiness to, make up for it.
You're like, no, it is more powerful. Dude,
I saw the funniest memes after the first episode where you're introduced to Toji about like how this guy had a beef with a 6-year-old for years.
He's the only one
who looked at me the wrong way. I'm about to hand his ass to him.
It was so funny. And like him being so bad at gambling and shit.
Yeah.
I think it's like they really did a great job of perfectly constructing this like nostalgic summer spring feeling in this arc. And like, I was going to say, so we've seen like so many flashback arcs. Like you knew that Geto had to like have his downfall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've seen this kind of thing before where like good guy gets corrupted, but I feel like they were very effective in how they showed just like the unrelenting nature of their work, especially as like the one line of like, you know, if this is a marathon, what's the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's like me when I go to work. So I understand how they feel.
And I think what led to that, which I didn't expect at first. I think it was that girl dying that kind of led him to slowly start crumbling.
Well, it's also that and like seeing all those people,
because I thought
weird cult like clapping for her death.
Yeah.
Which is very jarring. And the way they did the sound design in his episode where like when he hears the water of like the shower, it's like he hears like the clapping instead. And so it's like haunting him nonstop.
Because he also did want to genuinely save her, or do, you know, something for her.
Because he truly believed that like sorcerers were there to protect people. And then it's like seeing the people that he's protecting being so hateful and evil. It's like how many people who I care about who are also sorcerers have to die for the sake of these people who don't appreciate us, who hate us, who are preying on our downfall. Like, fuck them, essentially.
And I love how like they did the progression of like how they slowly planted a seed in him that like it wasn't immediate. It was just like as he thought about it, it's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck these people.
Yeah, fuck these people. And then it's like, yeah, no, we're done.
And like, and he saw the shadow of himself, and it was like, I forgot who was telling him like there's two selves. Like you're not one or the other.
You haven't made up your mind yet. You're wavering.
It's who you choose to be.
Yeah, and then he's like, I chose. Yeah, and it's like, you know, you can definitely see his point of view and perspective on it. I'm like, you know what? Fair enough. And
then to switch to Gojo, who only knows him as like his friend. He hasn't seen him like struggling with this, to like be completely blindsided. Like, no, my friend wouldn't do that. Like, what's going on? Like, it just felt like you're in Gojo's shoes for that second and be like,
holy shit.
Yeah. Like, and he actually, like, not only did he do something bad, he like burned these people alive. He killed all these people. He went on a massacre.
Oh, yeah. The town is done.
Yeah. They're dead.
Yeah. And that's wild.
But like to go from like Gojo knowing him like,
bestie.
Bestie, that we're all in it to save people, to like, oh no, he massacred a town.
And it's interesting because Gojo was at that weird point. Like the cool scene, I think it's really cool how they presented this too, of like Gojo, you know, after he survived Toji's thing and like kind of like awakened to that next level of existence where he's like, I know how to do reversed energy, which cures me. He's just like unleashed like a new power when he combined the like red with blue to purple. Like he achieved a new level. It's like he's so disconnected from humanity that like I alone am the honored one. It's like he's left go. It's like a Buddhist phrase of like letting go of material possession. So he's so disconnected from humanity that like in that moment when he saw I forget her name, the girl's body, and he's like, should we just kill all these people? Because he lost that sense of connection, and Geto was the one who was like, no, like you need to have a reason to like kill these people. We wouldn't have a good reason for it. So he was like his connection to humanity in that moment, and it's like, you know, he kind of lost that while Geto was going to the dark side. But it's interesting how he's remained that kind of moral compass for his own self, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. Gojo, you mean?
Gojo, yeah. He like kind of developed that. So he can't even see like how other people feel that are kind of different from him in that respect. Yeah, I feel like,
do you feel like he's still the same now in the current, like in the present?
I think the way he is in the current arc is because
I just mean like present Gojo versus past like now with the students and now that he's a mentor. And
I think we see the insight into Gojo in the next scene where he's getting Megumin and he's kind of enlisting him, I guess essentially adopting him.
Yeah.
Essentially is like his, you know, mentoree, where he's like telling him to get strong. I think when Gojo lost, he went from we're the strongest to I'm the strongest, he felt lonely and has that weird sense of like disconnection from everyone.
Yeah.
And he wants to raise them to be the strongest with him. He wants other people on his level so he's not alone. So he's kind of recapturing what he had with him in Geto with other people.
That's right.
So I think it's a turning point, and I think now current Gojo wants to like nurture and foster people, even if he does it maybe not the best, but he still has that intention of trying to raise them all to be the strongest.
Do you think I forget her name, the girl that died, do you think the star plasma vessel?
Yes.
That's very humanizing of me. Just call her the star plasma vessel.
What's her name?
But
Io something.
But her death rocked Gojo, right, to a certain extent, because he was willing to kill all those people. Like that was his way of being like, you know, this is kind of fucked.
I think it was their canon event. Just to put it in terms, I think it was.
No, it affected both of them, but it affected both of them in different ways.
I think it was like, I think he definitely, I think they both were kind of like, that's the end of their youth. You know, everything up until that point was kind of lighthearted, even when they're taking down people. I think that was kind of like the end of innocence for them, both of them. Like they couldn't really go back to like carefree times because it was the ultimate failure for both of them.
Dark,
So it was, I think it both impacted them, and that was their canon.
Should we have said spoilers?
I hope it's implied. We'll say it at the beginning.
Flashback,
yeah,
whatever.
We'll say it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when he wakes up and it's like it looks like he's actually crying over his dream.
Yeah.
So that was sad.
Gojo, yeah.
Because that was all a dream. They did the details of like his like under his eye was like a bit red and puffy. So.
Oh, the next day.
Yeah, when he's waking up with the students and stuff, like at the end of episode 5.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah.
So
hurts him to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was a great arc. I think they did a good job, and it inspired me to go read the whole manga. So that was kind of cool.
You know, the wait, is making me want to go read the manga just to like see what's going on. But I have heard some people say that like it just doesn't capture the epicness of the anime of like seeing it animated. And then going to the panels and like it just doesn't capture it.
I wanted to be difficult as usual, and so I read this flashback arc. I did essentially a chronological reading order unintentionally. So I read the flashback arc, then I read Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and then I started from like the beginning of the series, and I read up until the current chapters. So
that's crazy.
I read all of it, and I've read the stuff for the anime I've seen, and I think the manga art is actually pretty good. I know people have been like iffy. I think it's good and they do a good job with it, but the way the anime has elevated the series, I don't think can be understated. Yeah. It elevates it, in my opinion, in every capacity. Yeah. From the small like slice of life moments to like the comedy, the small interactions, and especially to the fights. So it's not that the manga art is bad. I just think the anime is like probably one of the best action series I've seen ever.
So I guess I'll phrase it this way. So like, do you feel that like now by knowing what's going to happen, you kind of deprived yourself a little of getting to experience this like firsthand through the anime, which would pretty much elevate all of it?
No, because I'm impatient. And
you're like, I just want to know the story. That's
I wanted to know. And more importantly, I love seeing things multiple times over. I love, because I think I'm able to pay attention better than I would the first time around. Because the first time around, I'm like, okay, so I'm experiencing it. I don't know what's going to happen, whatever. This time, I'm like, I know what to expect and I know what to look for, and I know I can appreciate how much more they're doing. So I'm always been a rewatcher, so I like seeing stuff over and over again.
I'm not a big rewatcher. I think that's what it would be for me, where it's like I would watch it, then I'm like, I don't have to watch it again. Like I know what's gonna happen, so whatever. So,
but I like it because it is different. They do give like, they space some stuff out a bit more. Like the way it's so funny because the manga is like the fastest paced manga I've read. It's nonstop fights. It's fights. I think there might be 4 pages of slice of life moments.
Would you say it's too many fights?
It might be.
So it might be a tad bit.
It might be a tad too many fights. Okay. If someone was like, came up to me and they're like, Jujutsu Kaisen characters aren't that deep because they have no time to breathe, I'd be like, kind of fair enough. I do appreciate them and enjoy them, but it is literally nonstop fights.
I've been thinking about that recently. Like as much as action and plot like is good and it's fun and it's exciting and it keeps you turning a page, you kind of need those moments of like just with the characters.
I just want to call
process
JJ and be like, just one chapter, give yourself a chapter off and have the character sit and reflect on things. Just one chapter.
No.
Bars. And to a certain degree, I respect what he's going for because it's kind of like that's the whole point which we saw with Ghetto, which is like nonstop working, overexhaustion. They're constantly going.
What if Jujutsu Kaisen is an analogy
to real life
or an allegory? Would it be allegory?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever. You got what I'm saying. Yeah. For being overworked.
I think it is.
The workforce.
Well, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like that, like overtly.
You have Nanami.
Yeah, no,
who's
Nanami.
Literally his whole shtick is going into overtime.
Oh yeah. He's like, I'm not doing overtime.
That's what it is. It's all.
No. I think it's supposed to be a very overt allegory for being overworked and grinding in society for a society that doesn't appreciate you. I think that's an overt theme, and so I didn't catch on to that. Yeah. I don't think Jujutsu Kaisen isn't deep, and I don't think it doesn't have themes. And I do really like the characters and cast. So like, I'm not saying it's superficial by any means, but it doesn't have as many like slice of life moments or moments of reflection as a lot of other series. So yeah, it's kind of like I feel like I might turn into like a Bleach fan for Jujutsu Kaisen, where I'm like, you're missing the subtext of this one thing that could represent.
You're not seeing the characterization within the fights.
Yeah, well, there is some of that, but
Yeah.
like, no, I'm gonna literally be a Bleach fan for Jujutsu Kaisen, but it does mean that like there's just nonstop fights. If someone does not like fights, do not read or watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
It is literally nonstop fights.
You're making me curious. You're making me want to read it.
I think
to see.
this arc is the one. This is the big hyped one, Shibuya arc. That's the biggest hyped arc.
I keep hearing that this is where it peaked. This is like, you know.
You know what? I will ask other Jujutsu Kaisen fans, and I mean this in a non-slanderous way. I'm not entirely sure why this arc gets so much more hype than other arcs, because as not to spoil, but like the whole series is nonstop fights. Like it is quite literally nonstop fights.
Yeah.
So not to spoil other arcs, but there's fights in Shibuya, and there are fights after Shibuya. And then in the next arc, there's more fights. So like, I'm not sure. Like
maybe the fights in Shibuya were more hype. Maybe
I mean, it is like an unprecedented level of hype in the context of the story, but also like there's some really hype fights afterwards. The current manga arc that we have going on is probably the most hype fight. You know what I think it is? I binged it all in a couple days, so.
You've had it.
It's fresh on my mind.
You could see it all at once.
I see it all at once versus if I was reading this weekly, I'd probably go crazy because it is nonstop fights. So it's just like, I'm tired of this fight.
Oh, I have felt that way with manga, that it's just like fights just go on. Typically shonen, but like when you're reading it weekly and it's just this fight is going and going and going.
If you have a 10 chapter long fight, that means you've read that for 10 chapters back to back. And at some point you're like, I can't keep doing this anymore. So that's been Jujutsu Kaisen for like 200 chapters. It's just nonstop fights. Damn. So I think it's better. I think it's a binge series rather than a weekly one. Except for the current one.
That should be a quick read then, because if it's all fights, then I'm assuming it's not a lot of dialogue. So it's just like
they do some talking and they have some explanations, but like I do quite. I don't want to exaggerate too often, but it is literally nonstop fights. I cannot emphasize that. So if anyone gets tired of like non-fights and getting in the way of their battle shonen series, this is the series for you because there's nonstop fights.
All right.
But the current fight that they have going on, I will say, no spoilers, I've not been this excited to follow a fight weekly since a certain Hunter x Hunter fight that came out.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
so.
I don't want to spoil it in case someone has like not seen it, but it's kind of on that level. I don't know if it's as good as that fight, but the level of speculation, hype, and I don't know what will happen. Okay. So many times with fights, I have a good idea what will happen. These fights, I don't know what will happen. So if you get on it, let me know. I will be there.
You're kind of inspiring me. You're inspiring me to both say fuck it and like just finish the Haikyuu manga and just not wait for the anime.
You should do that. Yeah.
And then say fuck it.
You should 100% do that for
Jujutsu
Haikyuu.
Kaisen manga and just stop waiting on all the other ones that don't have an anime out yet and just read it. You know what? I'm just gonna read the Mushoku Tensei novels. You know why not?
I do need a source on the Mushoku Tensei novels.
No, you're joining me. Let's go.
Oh, I have to read it too. I can't believe I'm gonna like the one light novel I read and it'll be Mushoku Tensei. Could you believe that?
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Is that how we segue into Mushoku Tensei?
It's a good segue.
Let's talk about Mushoku Tensei. Are you enjoying the headlines every week that this show is making?
I've been trying to be good and not talk about it on Twitter, but then I end up liking and replying to people. But I refuse to try and like, I can't talk about Mushoku Tensei on Twitter as my like own individual tweet. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't do it.
Amen. It's just asking for it.
I can't do it.
It happened with our pod, so.
But now, and run it again. I think it's Mushoku Tensei. My overarching thought on Mushoku Tensei has not changed, which is I think it has a lot of really enjoyable elements, and I think it's incredibly ambitious, and it's trying to tackle very ambitious themes, but it does so in such a juvenile, immature way that it falls flat a lot for me. And I understand why it resonates with people a lot, but then it'll handle something very serious in such a goofy way that it takes me out of it completely. And I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
Basically, it undercuts the main character's growth when he goes to pray to a panty.
That whole episode was like, I'm like, this is a really good episode for Rudy. Like, I totally feel his emotional struggle. And there's not even a lot of like inner dialogue. It's just really like him like thinking hard and trying to like turn a corner. Yeah. And then he ends the episode praying to panties, and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Like it seriously doesn't like really bother me. Like when I watched it, it was just sort of like a groan, of course, But I did think it was silly. Like it was just like it's like okay,
as one would say, it's unserious.
Like you seriously carried these panties the whole time for how many years? Because
and then people will be like, oh well, like. It's it's his emotional crutch. It represents her. It's like, I know. I think it's dumb. That's my problem. Is like, I know it's supposed to represent him trying to find some like emotional support from Roxy, who he doesn't have in his life currently. Like, I understand why he is doing what he's doing. I just think it's a bit silly that, like, his representation of Roxy is panties and not any, like, magical connotations, and she was his teacher, like, literally anything else. Like, she gave him a staff that could be representative of their relationship, but no, it's panties. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so this is, like, goofy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a moment that, like, takes you out, especially when he keeps going back to it. Like, I've still been, like, enjoying it and, like, watching because I'm interested to see where it's going to go. And I think that's, again, back to Mushoku Tensei's strength, that it's, like, it makes you interested in, like, the world building and Rudy's progression to a certain extent, but then he, like, does certain things, or it focuses on certain things that are, like, silly enough that it's just, like, okay, like, how seriously do you want me to take this?
Yeah, like, am I supposed to find this funny, or is it supposed to just be, like, ridiculous in the context? Like, what is my reaction? That's what I want to know.
I think it's really just supposed to be, I don't know. Like, I think it's just supposed to be like, Rudy is growing as a character. He's becoming a better person, but he's inherently lecherous, and he's always going to be lecherous. And I think that's just the point. Like, that's the point. That's the demo. Like, that's like what, like, that's, it's a redemption story with a slice of that.
Yeah, but then it's tough too when they're like, okay, so one of the problems of him is how lecherous he is.
Yeah.
So he's trying to overcome it, but then he still is that. So it's a bit I feel like sometimes there's a bit of an identity crisis within the story of, like, what are they trying to portray sometimes, or what is the main goal?
I think he's just supposed to become, like, a well-adjusted, confident, high-functioning, lecherous person. Okay. I think that's the end goal.
Could make sense.
I think that's really what it is. I feel like that part's never going to go away. I don't think.
And that kind of makes sense, because I do think that's part of the appeal for people. Yeah. Is they're like, he's a perv, I'm a perv, he just like me. Yeah. Like, I get it. Like, that's what they're trying to go for. And, like, there's a market for that, and I respect that. So it's always just kind of funny, though, when it happens, because it's like, in my own head, I'm like, okay, so is it trying to be like, is this a super duper serious moment, or is this a comedy moment where he's being a bit goofy with, like, in that vein?
And it kind of has to be that. Yeah. Like, when you think back, and I know we've, like, said this so many, like, not us specifically, but just everyone ad nauseum, that it has been said that it's the grandfather of the modern isekai template. So if all the isekai you've seen come after this have borrowed from this work, it's like, okay.
Is it actually? I heard the people, like, disputing that it was the grandfather of it. Has that been disputed or not?
What's been disputed is it's not the father of isekai. It's just modern isekai.
Okay.
So or like the modern isekai, the ones that we always complain of, like, you know, are saturated, that we keep seeing, like, carbon copies of. That's what started that trend.
That makes sense.
That's what provided the template, but not, like, all of isekai.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So, and that checks out.
So, like the Shield Hero, like,
I could see some Shield Hero in recent episodes.
ReZero, I think, to a certain extent.
Okay, yeah.
Or I don't know if they started, like,
they might have started around the same time.
Yeah, so I don't want to go that far, but
that makes sense.
A lot of the similar elements come from Mushoku Tensei.
Gotcha, that makes sense. Well, I did, so we saw some of that last episode. You're up to date, right?
Yeah.
I think I am up to date too, but because I thought it was, like, a bit, like, I think the slave episode is actually a really good example of kind of what the.
Oh, I thought you were gonna just say, I think the slave episode was just really good.
Yeah.
Out of everything else, I thought that was really well executed.
No. Well, it's funny because everyone was talking about, like, oh, the ED arc is so goofy. I'm like, no, that's, like, an actual. I can respect the ED arc.
It's funny
because it's like, no, but I can respect what they're going for with that, because they're like, okay, he had this, like, traumatic response to Eris leaving him, so now he associates that with, like.
Well, it's funny that's the quest, like that's like a serious quest, and maybe that's what people are on about. I do think story-wise it makes sense, because like it's really based on, like, it's being taken seriously. It's based on his freaking trauma with her, and, like,
his mental hang-up,
and emotionally how that made him feel. So,
and I think that makes perfect sense. So, like, people were clowning on, they're like, oh, everyone's gonna freak out at that. It's like, no, we're not freaking out at, like, but that is the thing.
I think they're also taking it that way too, because it's like, oh, it's a 13-year-old, like, suffering from erectile dysfunction, and that's the focus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does kind of make sense, though, in the context. It all makes sense. That stuff I'm going to give a pass, because I feel like it makes sense in the context of, like, he was really hurt. He associates Eris with that. So, like, he can't do that. So he's trying to, like, get his groove back, so to speak.
And it's a good arc for him to grow, because it's like, it's looking past just, like, you know, just being perverted and wanting any girl. It's like he has to actually find genuine connection. And that's what he's kind of been overlooking. Like, he never knew.
He never knew he wanted.
He needed, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what'll help him, you know.
Yeah. And that makes sense. So, like, I'm fine with that. I think the most recent one, which was, like, the going to buy the slave episode to make anime figures, that one just kind of highlights like a bit of how I think it takes like serious subject matters a bit goofy. Like I know the big outrage is that like, you know, oh, Rudy doesn't give a shit about slavery as like as an institution. He doesn't view it inherently evil.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to explore why Rudy doesn't find slavery as an institution inherently evil from a modern perspective, given all the knowledge we have about it. I think that would be interesting. I'm not against like that perspective being explored, but it's not really, you know, presented. He's just like, yeah, let's go like, you know, let's go buy a slave to go make anime figures. Like not really concerned about it, even though I think he was like almost sold into slavery with like the Beast People in season 2.
It's true.
And so he's just kind of like very flippant about it. And then they have like Sylphie, who's under pretending to be Fitz. It's like asking to join along as if it's almost like a date outing. And I'm like, they're treating it like a date outing with him and his friends to go buy a slave.
Yeah.
And then when they finally do find someone, he could recognize how hopeless they felt because her despair of being a slave reminded him of when he was a shut-in and he felt, you know, he gave up life too. And I'm like, you know, I think being a shut-in and being a 6-year-old slave, 2 different kind of situations. So.
I mean, he connected to the despair, but I get it. But it's a different...
Him comparing the two, and I get it because it's like he can identify with her, and that's good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but wait a minute, his reason is because he was bullied in high school, which is terrible and obviously traumatic and ruined his life. Like, not minimizing that, but I'm like, 2 slightly different levels of
I think they were, I get it from like the outside perspective. I just think they were just trying to hone in on like, you just don't want to live anymore because you don't see an escape.
Yeah, and I totally get it. And I get that. I think it's good that they tried to have that
But it's
connection.
definitely not, you know, it's not, you know, like it's not a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
But I think I was going to go back a little because I was like laughing a little bit that when they went, like we were saying, they were like treating it like as a date and they were going to go like buy a slave. I found it like actually really funny while I was watching it that they were just so matter of fact, like, you know what? A child slave would be better because, you know, you can teach them better and mold them. And I'm like, you guys are really considering this. Like, this is just...
It's like an Always Sunny episode. It's like an Always Sunny episode, but they don't realize that it's an Always Sunny episode.
Yeah.
It's like the gang buys a slave. Like, it's like, that's how I felt like the scene was, where I'm like, oh yeah, I could see the gang in Always Sunny going around being like, we need a dwarf who's dexterous with their hands. Also, if they're a kid, then they're able to use magic more. I'm like, going through the list, I could just see like the gang deciding that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but wait a minute, like... They're kind of serious about this.
I think the counter argument that people would have, I guess, the people who are, I don't know, I haven't seen the discourse, but like defending it would probably be like, well, it's a part of the world. They're not going to be able to change the institution. So what does it matter? So they're sort of resigned to it. They see it as a norm. The characters that are not Rudy around him see it as a norm. So he's just going to go with it. It's kind of the necessity. Yeah. Even though it's for figurines, but
that's what's funny too. Is it's also like, oh, we're just going to go make anime figures.
Yeah.
I hope they show her making the anime figure, and then I hope Kadakawa makes the actual figure, and then people buy it after.
Oh God!
I think if they do that, I'm gonna give. If they end up doing that, which would be very good marketing for Mushoku Tensei, I will not talk about ReZero ever again in that regard. If they do that, promise.
You could keep going.
No, promise. I will not talk about ReZero.
I'm okay with it. I leaned into it.
No. If they do that, I will be like, the marketing does itself, but. You know, I think of the, you know, a lot of people have the discourse. It's just I see it as like trying to incorporate serious subject matters and doing kind of like a crappy job at it. But I don't think it's inherently wrong for them to try and be like, oh yeah, Rudy doesn't feel strongly about slavery. That's an interesting thing though. I wish they would explore it more.
I mean, they still could. I just don't know if they will.
I don't think they will. And then people will be like, well, it's not about slavery. I'm like, okay, but then they're still showing slavery. Like, there's only... blank is not about blank goes so far when they are still showing blank. Because they'll be like, oh, well, it's not about like slavery or like, you know, people being sexually, you know, essayed or whatever. Like, it's not about that, but then they'll still like incorporate those things. Yeah. So there's only so far that goes for me. But but overall, I'm still, you know, weirdly enough, I mean, despite everything, I'm having a good time watching it enough. Like, it's entertaining. I have essentially the same gripes I had from season 1. Apply to this, but I'm here for the ride. It has some touching moments here and there. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if there's anything like that's been, I think everything's been pretty consistent since season 1, like obviously besides the animation, but like.
And I don't think it's gotten that much worse. People are like, oh, it's so much worse. They still has a good couple scenes. It's definitely not on that level.
You could tell by like the quality, I guess, of the character models. Like that's where like the biggest like downgrade is. Definitely. It just doesn't, it looks like an early 2000s anime, like in some
probably a bit
mid 2000s anime, like
probably
in some
a bit better.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as good as the first season did, which is sad.
Like
but
the first season looked like really clean.
yes, yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one probably not as much, but
Yeah.
I was
but
like,
I kind of got over it already, so.
yeah, me
it's
too.
not,
There were
you
some
know.
good scenes here and there. And
Yeah.
I like I think it's cool. I think it is really cool to see how Rudy is genuinely like on an adventure. Like he's never going to stay in one place too long. So we're
Yeah.
getting to see a bunch of different settings and stuff. And I do enjoy that from the adventure aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like been pretty cool. Again, I'm still enjoying it, but definitely, I don't know. I don't know if the goofiness has become a little more overt now, but this season with like the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it. What else?
Yeah, well, I can't say it. I am enjoying it more than like possibly some of the other ones this season, which is weird to say. I don't know if this is positive
That's
enough.
some tea.
That is some tea. Okay, so what's next on our list? We don't have a long list.
All right, I'm gonna have to ask you, like, once we get to the others, like, what about Mushoku Tensei are you enjoying more than those? So, I think we should. Which one do you have the hottest take for?
I think it's My Happy Marriage. So I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
And then I read the manga for it, caught up. And so the manga and light novel, I think there's a light novel too. Those are apparently like the same, but like slightly different versions. I think it's taking the light novel, it's adapting the light novel, and the
Yeah.
manga is slightly different. But
Oh, okay.
my hot take is that My Happy Marriage looks very good, and it's a like decent adaptation, but it's cutting out a lot of the like characterization and small moments, and it makes the experience feel very like flat. I feel like it's a very flat experience.
So the anime is actually cutting out like a lot of moments.
It's not cutting out that much, but I think the series, as it stands, I'm in my shoujo summer. Like
Yeah.
shoujo summer. I've read a lot of shoujo this summer, at least for me. So
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of the tropes. I've been in like the romance grind. I've been in this spot.
Yeah.
Like been in this. And it is very cookie cutter
Yeah.
always. And it's like cool. Like, we've seen a lot of these tropes. It's a very Cinderella-esque story.
Yeah.
And we've been here, we've seen that. But they had some additional characterization in the manga that I think made it a bit better. Like, I'm not sure if you felt this too, but like, she goes and she's staying with her guy. He's being a dick to her at first. And then in the anime, it's kind of like, okay, the other housekeeper stood up to him about her, and then he's starting to be nice to her.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of a quick switch. That's a bit more like a couple chapters of him realizing her situation, realizing that like she's not acting like the usual spoiled brats who get sent to me. She has a lot more going on. It was more of a gradual process
Yeah.
of him warming up to her, which I think makes sense.
Yeah.
And made sense for their characters given their situation. And a lot of that got cut out. So it's like, it really feels like it's just going from event to event to event. And I think for something like this, you need as much characterization as you can get.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Like with everything you're saying, because I just felt like as I've been watching it, like it's just okay. Like,
It's very okay.
I was excited about it in the beginning, but as I've gone through the episodes, I'm just like, I don't feel like it's very compelling. It's very bland. Like it's very like
Yeah.
the relationship between them is like it doesn't have a lot to it,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that doesn't make me want to like there's nothing really that's exciting me about
Exactly.
it, and it's very like centered on her.
Yeah.
But she's not really offering enough
Yeah.
to make it like so like focused on
Yeah.
her, make that so interesting. Because I felt like I just watched a recent episode yesterday, but the episode before that, which is where like it culminated like that whole
Yeah.
first arc,
Yeah.
that whole thing with her family.
Yeah.
I felt like it could have ended there.
Yeah.
Like
and,
I
yeah.
felt like I was good. Like I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I really don't see anything here
Yeah.
that's like would make me want to watch more, and this kind of felt like this is gonna lead to like a good kind of ending, and like I'm cool with this. Like I'm cool
Yeah.
with it ended here.
Yeah,
So-
and because I think it's like obviously the end of the arc, and
Yeah.
that's something I think might have to not. That's like 15, maybe a bit more chapters in the manga, so like that would felt like more time. Like
Yeah.
it felt like there was more building up to it. So like I just feel like they actually did a better job, and like I'm not saying it's a game changer. Like
Yeah.
it's still like he is still kind of like cold, but then warming up to her, and she's still kind of like. Like a meek, quiet girl who like obviously had a lot going for her, and she's
Yeah.
finally learning to stand up to them, which is like nice, and I think that's great. But neither of them have super dynamic personalities.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. Like no one, like you kind of need someone to be a bit more loud and out there. Like I realized when I was watching the episode, it's like you got those two, and they're both kind of speaking in like kind of like mild manner voices, and like his friend is the only one who's speaking with any kind of like dynamic to him.
I think I see it I see that because I feel like they don't bring out anything out of each
no
other.
Energy.
Yeah,
no
like there's nothing.
energy.
Like they stay the same, and like they're both like kind of awkward around each other, and it's supposed to be cute, and I get the function of it, but it makes the pacing
Very
between
still.
them feel kind of also glacial, like a little bit like okay. Like,
and it's not like I look down on like her situation. I get it. It's like both characters make complete sense, and I'm not saying like she's bad because she's traumatized or he's bad because like he's probably traumatized in some other way. But like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like for the sake of watching them in slice of life moments, you need more.
It doesn't make it fun.
It doesn't make it fun.
It's lacking the fun, where it's like this is just nice. This is nice, but it's. And
I'm like, okay, I'm glad for. And also, it doesn't help that I think like her family and then the other people like conspiring behind the scenes, they're all ass. Like they just suck.
Like how they're cartoonishly evil.
Yeah, they're like I cannot imagine. Like I get why, because like she has the sneaky secret power and like they need that in the family, whatever. So I get the reasons why. But we have all of these characters sitting around conniving in libraries trying to prey on her downfall and trying to kidnap her after they sold her off in the first episode because they didn't give a shit about her. And I'm like, how many grown-ass men are just sitting in like, it's like the fucking Nerve headquarters of like that, and they're like, we must take her back from her husband that we already sold off. And I'm like, you guys treated her like she was a throwaway thing in the first episode. But now you're all like, no, actually, she's of peak importance. We got like 5 families coming together to try and get her back. And I'm like, where was that energy in the first episode? Why
that makes it feel like very obvious, like it's a way to just extend the plot.
Exactly.
Versus something like that's more supposed to be like feel a little more organic.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, where was this in the beginning?
And you just I can't take any of them seriously. They're all just preying on her downfall. They all hate her. They all think she sucks. Like her sister is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I know that I've seen her sister's backstory. I don't even know if that got adapted. I've seen part of her sister's backstory of why she like hates her. It's still not good.
Yeah.
So
how far did you get?
In the anime or
in the anime.
I stopped right before the episode where they like kidnap her, or I saw where she got kidnapped, and then they bring her they lock her in the shed. I didn't get to the actual like him breaking her out of the family.
Yeah, that's why I felt like it could have ended.
and I think the new stuff they're doing is like, at least in the manga, is like a bit more interesting. But they're essentially going to go past the manga.
Okay.
In this anime, they're going to go past the content I've read.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah. I just felt like it's going to be more of the same of like more plotting, more like we need to get her back. We need to stop their happy marriage. We can't let it happen.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, then why did you sell her in the first place? Like, and I get it's other families. A lot of the stuff makes sense, but I don't like what I'm watching because I feel like I've either seen it before and seen executed better, or I just am like, just not compelled. And I think the manga is a bit better.
I feel like because they also feel like character types versus people.
They haven't done enough to make them feel a bit more organic.
And then the other thing, I guess, you know what? And I don't know if you get this more in the manga, you don't get a lot of internal dialogue.
That's what they are cutting out a lot of. And I'm not saying the internal dialogue changes the game, but you get a bit more of the character perspectives, a bit more of like, why is he so cold? Why is she so, why does she feel so apologetic all the time? Why is she so, drawn within herself? Like, what did the motive?
There's not enough of like an internal arc going on that can get you like invested. Like, oh, she's struggling with this because of this, and he can't communicate his feelings, and
and they do a bit better with that. Like, they show a whole thing of like, he had like so many other fiancés sent from really wealthy households who like hated that the house was too small and like didn't like how he wasn't like spending enough money on them, like very spoiled people. So then he gets to her and thinks she'll be like that, and then he realizes that like no, she is like not only not being treated the same way as a noble woman of her status, like she's treated like worse than a
It's very
servant.
implied, but the problem is like you're told it versus like being shown it. So it's like it's mentioned like, oh, like he suddenly now knows that like,
and that's a bit more gradual. So
the other thing that throws me off about it is that the supernatural element. Like I just, from the beginning, I did not expect it. I did not know because I didn't read a synopsis, but like I did not expect it to have a supernatural angle to it.
Yeah.
And it still throws me off every time.
Yeah, and then they have like little like powers.
Because it just feels like an add-on that isn't really needed. I mean, I guess it is now that they've like really made it a whole plot point and they've used it and they've had fights with it. But every time I'm like, I feel like it doesn't need it.
I think it's like they make it a plot point. So like they need it, but they haven't really done enough to make it interesting or like go into it more. Like, I want to know more about the powers, not just have people do like stuff here and there. But I don't know. I think it just needs a bit more pizzazz of everything. Yeah. And so watching it, I had an epiphany. I was like, okay, so this is why people enjoy Mushoku Tensei so much, because you're not seeing anything like Mushoku Tensei, for better or worse. Like, Mushoku Tensei is like, we're getting the weirdest shit of all time. Not of all time. We're getting some weird ass shit.
I think Mushoku Tensei is exciting because you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
Like
you don't know.
controversy.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's why I'm like, I might not like some of the stuff I'm watching with Mushoku Tensei. Like, I might not, but it's also like it's got spice to it.
Yeah.
Beyond the problematic elements, beyond that, there's a bit more of a spice to it in terms of like I'm not seeing other things exactly like this, and I feel like I've seen something like my
There's
Happy
a bit
Marriage.
more novelty to it. To it. So
a bit more pizzazz to
and
it.
that's what
That's what we're here for with anime.
We're inherently human. We like novelty. We like things that are different, even if we don't necessarily agree with them. It's like it gives us something to chew on.
Like when I watch My Happy Marriage, what it makes me think is I should go back and watch the Drew Barrymore adaptation of Cinderella. That's what it makes me think every time. And I love that adaptation.
Yeah.
But it makes me think I should be.
It makes you think of other shows.
Exactly.
And that's not good because it makes you click away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like just like disassociated from one episode where I'm like, they're just kind of talking at each other, kind of like in this tone, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I'm like sorry," and then he'll be like, "Don't apologize," and she's like, I'm sorry." Like they talk like that, and that's a whole episode. Like I need someone to come out and just be like, "Blah," like do something.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. That's a good way of putting it. Like that's what it's lacking. It's like,
It needs some spice.
Yeah.
We need some spice in any capacity.
Drama. Something.
I'm not saying someone needs to start praying to panties. I'm just saying they need to do something.
I mean, they could do that.
Yeah, that's how she'll unlock her powers.
Yeah.
That she praises in panties.
Yeah.
That would be funny. I would love like Rudy, save me.
The husband the guy walks in. What are you doing?
I'm just like, excuse me. This is weird.
The spirit of Rudy has possessed me.
Oh my God. Wait, crossover event of the season.
Yo.
Wait, we saved it. Yeah, we just ruined a bunch of stuff for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hear about that.
They were not here for that.
Their two favorites, they didn't want to get mixed like that.
Yeah, but it made me realize, like, watching back to back, I was like, okay, I understand. I understand Mushoku Tensei now.
Yeah.
I get it.
I think part of me is looking forward to the spice. I just want to see like what it's bringing this next week. And then there is an excitement towards like, I can't believe it fucking did this. It fucking did that. It's like, it takes me out and like, oh my God, of course the show would do that. So.
Yeah, but maybe we'll get that. I don't know, what will Mushoku Tensei do next?
Yeah.
But it is wild. I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, okay, so I could go watch My Happy Marriage, could watch Mushoku Tensei, and then I click Mushoku Tensei. It's something you don't only realize when watching seasonals back to back of like, what do you value more? What are you enjoying more week to week?
Because at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
I'm not pretending that like any of this is real. Like I'm not.
I'm also saying like at the end of the day, you want to be entertained.
Yes.
So
in
it's
some capacity.
like because it's a time investment.
It is.
You're spending your time. You're getting something out of it.
Exactly.
And the worst thing is to not get anything out of it.
That is kind of worse. That is where I'm at.
It's like, okay, this is problematic. Okay, it takes me out, but it gives me something to talk about.
Exactly.
It's interesting enough to chew on, even if I hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm neutral. So it's like, okay, there's nothing.
Yeah.
But then how do you feel about Zom 100?
So Zom 100 is one of my favorite new entries in his genre. I have dubbed the first episode is the best part of it.
I knew this was coming.
And the rest of it is not at the level, but could still be kind of okay.
Does Oshinoko fall into this just because that had a kick-ass first episode?
Oshinoko doesn't count because
I heard people have turned on it, have flipped on it.
Oh, I heard the best take. You here ready for this?
Yeah.
Oshinoko is the Code Geass of new anime.
What?
Tell me in terms of like let it simmer for a second.
Wait, hold on.
Think about it.
Okay, I can see it.
You see, because people are like, it's over the top, it's kind of goofy.
It's very theatrical.
And people like try and hold it to the standard of like, oh, it's not serious. I'm like, it's not trying to be as serious. It's a very over the top series in general. Very brother.
We should have a Code Geass Oshinoko pod.
Code no-ko.
Oh my God.
Geass no-ko.
That sounds like Code Lyoko.
Code Lyoko? Oh my God. Let's do a pod on that. That would be fun. No, but yeah, I see the same vibe of like, okay, it's obviously supposed to be theatrical, over the top.
Oh yeah, the main character is totally Lelouch.
He kind of is. He's trying to protect his sister from the dad after getting revenge for the mom.
Hear me out. Just Weebs fanfic where we switch out the main characters. Lelouch gets isekai'd into the world of showbiz, and
he would go hard.
And that's it. He's
he could do it.
Or Aqua gets isekai'd into the world of Code Geass.
He's getting killed immediately.
Yeah, so I think it'd be more interesting for Lelouch.
Yeah.
Chess games.
Let's bring Lelouch. Yeah. But they kind of have some very striking similarities. So shout out to Weirdy on that one. He called that out, and I was like, wait, it's like actually the same. Okay. But I don't count Oshinoko as that because Oshinoko had a 90-minute long premiere, and I know from experience they just put like 10 chapters. I can tell with all of these, like Zom 100, I'm going to put Rent a Girlfriend in this category. To Your Eternity.
Yeah, okay.
All of these ones. I can tell that this is the one-shot chapter that comes out when the manga first comes out, and it's longer and like more detailed.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the series follows.
Yeah.
I can tell what they're doing because I'm like, okay, so it just happens every time. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, where they put, all
Here's
the work
the
into the first episode.
And then they're like,
yeah,
it all follows.
It's kind of crazy because I saw when people were like raving about the first episode, saying a lot of good things. I'm like, all right, that looks good. And then I checked it out and I'm like, okay,
really
all
good.
right. I see some stuff here. I wasn't sure where I was going to go from there, but I'm like, I'm interested. I'm in. And then I kind of tuned out of discourse. I didn't hear anything else after that, which is always a sign.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really paying attention. And then I was just watching the other episodes gradually on my own. And I'm like, I just started feeling like, is it just me or like I'm just not feeling the same magic from the first episode? It's sort of.
And I think to the credit, the first episode is one of the best first episodes I've seen.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic first episode.
Yeah.
So it's not even like slandering the rest of the series, but I think
You think it set the bar too high?
I think it set the bar too high, and I think the rest of the show that I've seen, I think I'm on episode like 4 or something.
That's where I stopped.
Yeah,
I finished 4.
I'm having fun with it. I think it's fun, but I don't think it'll capture the excitement of the first episode.
Yeah.
Because the inherent nature of the series is not going to be as exciting as him breaking away from working because
Right.
he's so happy that he doesn't have to work because of the zombie apocalypse.
It's because like the first episode had more to say.
It did.
And now this is sort of like, all right.
Now what?
That's it.
Now
know?
it's going to be zombie adventures.
Yeah.
But like, I love the message of the first episode.
Yeah.
And then
It could have been its own like perfect
Yes.
short. You know?
exactly. And that's all. That's what I say about like Rent a Girlfriend. Like the first episode of Rent a Girlfriend, no one remembers. If you just take the first episode of Rent a Girlfriend, it's a perfect takedown of like incel ideology.
Yeah.
It's like him realizing like, okay, I can't resent you for not liking me, and then
Yeah.
it ends in a good spot.
But then it continued.
and then it keeps going, and then.
Yeah.
But then it keeps going for better or worse. But like, there's a lot of series like that where I'm like, okay, the first episode is the best part, and I can tell it's because it was like a one shot when the manga came out.
Yeah.
And that's.
I mean, it was really fun. It was really good, especially with how they presented it. But like, and I'm not saying like the rest isn't fun. It doesn't grab me as much. Like,
No.
even I can see myself, like if I don't remember to tune in every week, I'm just going to fall off.
Yeah, same.
I just feel like there's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it more than some of the other, like, okay, first episode, obviously the best part series.
Yeah.
I'm definitely enjoying it a bit more, but it's tough because I can just tell that the first episode is going to be the best part.
Yeah. Because I feel like, after this, it's just them kind of like sort of surviving. And that's kind of
and
it.
I do like the absurdity of like him kind of like rediscovering his passion for life during such a hopeless time.
Yeah.
Like, that absurdity works
I
pretty
like
well.
the idea of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're executing it
Yeah.
like as interesting as like they set it out like it could have been in the first episode. Because
But I don't even know what I would change with it too. It's
Yeah.
almost like I would just watch the first episode and be like, okay, cool. Now I'll leave it up to interpretation. Like you leave it up to my imagination. So credit to them. Like they do have an answer on the series is like fun enough, but I just don't think it'll reach those heights.
yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
I really don't have a lot to say with it.
Me
'cause it's
neither.
just
Because I'm like, okay, that was fun.
like I really liked what it had to say, but then once you take off the work element, because now it doesn't exist in this world anymore, it's kind of
Exactly.
gone.
So he's just chilling.
Yeah,
And it's
unless
fun.
he met like other characters that also were like super severely overworked, and
Yeah.
then they were like, okay, we relate to you, and now like I don't know, we're gonna do this crazy thing together, but
Yeah.
I don't know, because now he's just like pretty much finding other survivors. They're kind of teaming up and then surviving.
Surviving, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I
from
mean,
there.
the interesting thing about it is like seeing the different parts of like Japan that they're hitting
Yeah.
up, like in Tokyo, and I'm like, oh hey, I know
yeah,
that
'cause
place.
you've been there.
I know that place. That's super cool.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. So
Yeah. So it's like fun enough, but
Yeah.
like whatever. I will say though, I do love the first episode. And I think like very good credit that it had such an impressive first episode.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favorite first episodes I've seen like in a long time.
No, the presentation of it, the visuals, kind of how they like they did it. Like it just went really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I do think it's fine to just be like, you know what, this series had a really great first episode and like credit for that.
Yeah.
Because not all series have a great first episode.
But sometimes like that is the purpose. Like they need to go hard on
Yeah.
the pilot because,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's also the manga game, so
Yeah,
I feel
that's true.
credit where credit's due.
Also the light novel game with the titles.
Yes, yeah. The
Yeah.
first episode is just the
Yeah.
title.
You don't have, you need to go hard on the title.
Yeah.
You gotta catch attention as quickly as you can.
That's true.
So there's that, Happy Marriage, which we talked about, and then the other 2 sequels, and I think that's it for summer.
Yeah, I just have Link Click season 2. I'm a bit behind on that, but I'm gonna save that to binge it. But possible Link Click season 1 definitely worth a watch.
Did season 1 like? Is it like very self-contained, like where?
No, it needed a season
It
2.
needed season 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
cool.
kinda had a
That's
cliffhanger.
actually good.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and then it picks up on this. I like season 2 so far, but it's a bit different from season 1 because season 1 is mostly episodic, and then it had the overarching plot, and now we're in the overarching plot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I like the overarching plot as much as the episodic episodes, but I will say...
It's not a good sign, actually.
I don't know. I'll see how I feel when I binge it. It's a very bingey show.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yeah, it's very like fast-paced, good stuff. I will say though, very impressive fight scenes. Could have fight scene of the year. Also, well, no, I'm gonna give it Jujutsu Kaisen. Sorry, and then might have opening of the year.
Oh,
the openings and endings for
right.
I think go hard. This one might be opening of the year.
Like out of everything
that's aired this year.
Wow.
So I think it's worth credit where credit is due. They've been popping off. So
okay, I
think it's worth watching.
First season's what, 11 episodes?
Yeah, 11.
Okay.
I gotta check 11 or 12.
I gotta get on it.
I'm such a weeb though that like so it's a Chinese show.
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time in Chinese, and it's a bit different to kind of like get used to. Like I'm watching a cartoon with Chinese when I'm used to just hearing Japanese.
Hearing the words.
My like dumb weeb ass was gonna like I downloaded the Japanese version, and I might like rewatch it just in Japanese, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this. So I'm like.
So you're actually like watching it in Japanese?
I didn't go. I watched like part of the first episode, but I did download them. So I'm like, do I just go back and rewatch it in Japanese?
You should watch it in Chinese.
I did watch it in Chinese first. I did watch it in Chinese first.
Yeah.
And now this season 2, only
and it has
Chinese.
all like the Japanese VAs that you usually know.
Yeah.
Oh,
like it's got.
You're such a weeb.
I'm such a weeb. I was like, no, I miss my. Give me the Japanese. I was like, I felt so bad, but like, it's like so many good Japanese voice actors, and I'm like, it's familiar.
I can't blame
the
you.
gang's all here.
I can't blame you because it has tempted me to like. I've been tempted to like watch like Marvel movies or like movies that they dub in Japanese because like you hear the voice acting for the trailers and they go so hard.
I heard. I watched Into the Spider-Verse in Japanese when I was on a plane. And
was it good?
Yeah, Miyano plays like broke Spider-Man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and like Giorno's voice actor plays Miles.
What? Did Giorno's theme play?
No, I wish. That would be so good. That edit would go so hard. Yes, need that.
Dude, that's crazy. I kind of want to watch it.
It was fun.
In Japanese.
It was fun. It's not the same. I think the original voice actors are better, but what can you do?
It's like its own experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so what's your favorite of the season so far?
It's kind of hard. Do I look like super excited about anything?
You're not as excited for Jujutsu Kaisen?
I'm excited for it to come back, but I wouldn't say like, if I'm talking honestly, I wouldn't say like the flashback arc was like, oh my God.
Did you like it more or less than season 1?
The flashback arc?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was like well animated and stuff. But I don't feel like I would put it over season 1 because I just felt like I don't know. It's tough for me to say because there wasn't anything about it to me like besides like it had a great execution that I felt like I connected with it or like this is like peak or anything. It was just like this was a good like.
Good segue into
like okay, this is good to understand. This makes you kind of want to rewatch Zero to kind of see the chronological. Now that I have this piece,
I would honestly recommend that. I think that would be good for people.
And I saw that on Crunchyroll, like it had it like in a weird order where it's like it has these episodes then Zero. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So, Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely my favorite. So.
What do you mean? Like
Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 is my favorite this summer season. But I think I might like this stuff more than season 1, but I don't know. It's all
what
kind of relative.
Did you think? Like, how good did you think this arc was?
I think it's really good. I think it's kind of a highlight that like, I mean, comparatively, it's a bit more slower paced. I think it's cool to switch up the point of view. I mean, I really like season 1, so it's not even like a slam on season 1. Yeah. I just think this one was like kind of a nice brush of fresh air before we get into the subsequent content, which I think will be interesting to see because it has like a new aesthetic, a new design, and it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. I have no reason to think that they're going to do a bad job with it, especially given we have this break.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see it. I think if they nail, I don't want to make a bold claim. I'm going to make it a bold claim anyway. Whatever. If they manage to nail this arc with the remainder of episodes for the season, we could be seeing like one of the best action series in a while. Okay. I think it might be my pick for like best modern action series.
So the Shibuya arc does go hard.
It does go pretty hard. And I'm very excited to hear your input on Shibuya since, as you can imagine, it takes place there. Yeah. And you've been there. Yeah. So I'm excited to get your input on it.
I will see. I'll have to see. Like, I'm excited actually. Like, after the end of this arc, I was actually excited to see the main cast again. Because you know what? I don't also think I'm very invested in flashbacks either. Like, so I also think like, okay, cool. We're going back to the main cast. It was good to like know this.
Do you like the main cast?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, I kind of really like Toto, and he's not like the main cast.
He kind of counts. He's the main in our heart. Is he your favorite?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I think I liked Yuji, but I don't know if in the second half of Jujutsu Kaisen, like the first season, he did a lot that was like
Yeah.
I don't remember, but whatever.
I think the cast is really likable, and I'm kind of surprised because I don't think there's any like deep character moments, but I think their personalities and powers and like their dynamic
they're
is
fun.
very likable and fun.
Yeah, they're fun. So I like them. So I'm like, I was excited to just see like kind of where the story goes from now.
Yeah.
To this point forward. But like, yeah, like I think the first arc. Sorry, I was gonna say something about the flashback. Oh, what I was gonna say was, I noticed that the character designs for the two female teachers in the current, like they showed them in the first episode when they were trapped in the labyrinth.
Yes.
I'm like, why are there characters? Like first I didn't know who they were.
Yeah,
and I'm like, who the fuck are these people? And I'm like, wait, this is that teacher and this is that teacher. Why do their old character designs look so much better than how they currently look? Damn, they must have seen some shit from now until the current
That's so
arc.
true. Oh, did you notice the detail in the opening? Because I think my other contender for opening and ending of the year
Is
are
the
the
Jujutsu Kaisen?
Yeah, I think they're like ridiculously good. Did you notice that the someone pointed this out? I'm not this observant. So the opening shot of the opening after it goes from like Gojo sleeping and he sees the guy walking down the hallway. It's like Geto walking away from him, but it's in that infinity hallway.
Oh, I think I heard about that.
So it's kind of like, symbolic, like plaguing his mind of like Geto leaving.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, it hurts.
I think
My summer vacation is over.
Did it really hurt you, that whole thing with the whole conclusion of the arc, the kind of the rift between Geto and Gojo?
I think thinking about it more makes it hurt because of like
the implications.
But then like the small details of where they're like, oh, then you see, it's always like it builds on you. Like when they break
like
up, essentially, I'm like, okay, this is sad. And then I see the small details in like the opening. I'm like, okay, this is really sad. And then you see like interviews with people of like, this was the only person that he had as like a true equal and connection. I'm like, okay, this is getting progressively sadder. Like the more I think about it, the more sad.
Gojo's fault for getting stronger.
Yeah, maybe he should have just like died. No.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He could have kept his friend.
Could have kept his bestie.
Maybe not.
No, you can't keep yourself lower to raise someone up.
I know.
Everyone's got to just get on this level.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Gotta get good.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like a fucking god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is him. He is him. I think he's one of the most enjoyable, overpowered characters I've seen in a while.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I think I like Sukuna.
Sukuna. Oh yeah. I'm like, how do you say his name? Oh yeah, he's fun too. He's a good like evil.
Yeah.
He's just pure evil.
Yeah.
No question. And he's just kind of like, shit talking, shit flinging. Like he's fun too. But I like Gojo more than Sukuna.
Yeah. I think I like Gojo. I don't remember. Did I like Gojo in the first season?
Did you? I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you have an opinion on him? That's a question.
I like Gojo.
I like it. Do you like him? Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I felt very connected to him in this flashback arc, but maybe that was just the point. Like I just felt like sort of like a disconnect. I just felt like I was just watching this unfold and I was like, okay.
That makes sense.
Cool. I mean, it didn't really like start hitting towards like that rift between like him and Geto and kind of like where you saw like what it used to be and how like buddy they were and like how they got each other and that dynamic, and now like that's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like that sucks. It like left a hole.
Yeah. You know what gets me? This is another maybe like clickbaity take or something. I think the openings and endings for Jujutsu Kaisen kind of do like some heavy lifting and supplementing the slice of life moments that we don't get in the actual series. Like in the opening, they show like everyone in their high school hanging out, they're getting on the train together, they're having fun, like they're riding on the bike and like having fun during summer, goofing around. Like none of those moments are in the manga.
Yeah.
None of those moments are in the series. So it kind of puts you in the mindset of like, I can imagine these characters having a lot of fun and goofing around together, and that's what we're losing, even though we're not actually seeing it. And then you get that with the ending, where like the ending is super bittersweet sounding. It's like,
But because you see that, and because you've seen the visual for it, like it stays in your head that like they have this dynamic.
It's like the vibe and feeling stay there, even if it's not explicitly shown in the series. Yeah. And I think that's like the opening and endings do like a lot of heavy lifting.
And they did do that in the first season too.
They did,
with Yuji and the crew hanging out at the beach and like taking like smartphone video and all that stuff.
You can imagine them and see that feeling, even if it's not explicitly
even though it's
shown.
just fighting, and
then we get the opening and ending.
Like they had a week somewhere in there where they hung out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see, and even like the scenes from like the first opening, I really love the shot of like Yuji on the train as like the water slowly coming up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like going to work. There you go.
I think my favorite for this season, not much of a surprise, is Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah.
Because it gives me the most spice to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know, Jujutsu Kaisen went on break, so
yeah, that's true. I will be interested to see by the end of the season if you're going to be more Jujutsu Kaisen or Mushoku Tensei.
I'm excited.
Do you think it's a kind of a toss-up?
I think so. I'm actually like seriously at the end of this arc, even though I didn't really let on that I was actually like looking forward to like the start of this new arc. I was genuinely excited. And actually the week after like the episode where like the girl died and Gojo died, like I was really excited for the next week. It's just like that sort of dissipated a little bit when like, I mean, I knew Gojo was going to be okay, but I don't know. Like,
that was a cool fight though.
Yeah.
One hell of a fight.
I mean, it was very one-sided.
Well, Toji tried. You know, we saw how badass he was. They had their full-fledged fight where they like were both trying. This one was nice to be like, you know.
Yeah.
I just love how unhinged he was.
I think
love that.
I think I wasn't fully into it just because I was actually trying to understand the logic of Gojo's like move and like what he was doing, and I think that took me out a little bit because I'm just like, trying to understand like what he's doing.
I do not understand Jujutsu Kaisen powers. I've caught up.
Even though you've read the manga?
I've caught up. So what you got to do to try and understand is one, don't try to understand. And then, so what you got to do.
Do you know that's a line in Tenet?
Is it?
Yeah. They're like, don't try to understand it. Like they're explaining the mechanics and they're like, don't try to understand it. You got to feel it.
Okay. So that's what you got to do. You don't try and okay. So what I do is I just kind of imagine it's kind of like Nen. But like,
I understand Nen. Thank you.
I understand. So I just pretend it's a mixture of Nen and spirit powers from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
And I just kind of pretend it's a mix of those. And each person has their own unique Nen ability. And then if they're strong enough, they can do their domain expansion. And I think that's essentially kind of it.
That's so funny because it sounds like explaining to like someone like how to play a fighting game, and you're just like, all right, you just got to button mash until you're able to activate domain expansion, and then you're Gucci.
Literally, that's what you got to do.
It.
Then you just domain expansion. And like there is like probably genuine logic, but I don't know if it's explained. Like even Geji, the author, will like try to explain powers, and he'll be like, "Sorry, I'm not good at math, so it's tough to like show this thing." And I'm like, "Dude, no." It's like just pretend it's Nen. Just pretend it's Nen. He'll have things where he explains individual powers. I just don't get the overall powers system.
I think I just have to understand. Gojo busted. That's it.
Yes.
He wields whatever.
Like
limitless busted.
I think I can finally explain Gojo's powers, but I cannot explain this power system.
Okay. I mean, I feel like if I did sit down to try to understand it, I'd understand it. I just sort of like.
But it's so tough in real
trying
time.
to just
he's like,
enjoy the fight without trying to really understand it.
Oh, I unlocked like cursed spirit reversal. I'm like, cool. I don't know what that means.
My friend explained reversed cursed. I asked him like the reversed cursed energy or whatever. Yeah. And I don't know. It just essentially. I just checked out. I was like, I don't.
You just like heal yourself essentially.
Yeah.
That's just think of it as healing. Then it's like cursed energy, like normal. It's like you're expanding.
Watch. I'm gonna go do homework. I'm gonna like read all of the manga. I'm gonna be explaining all of cursed energy by like.
I would love that. Like, please explain it to me.
A lesson in cursed energy. I'm gonna bring a whiteboard. Be like, hey, here you go.
Can we get a whiteboard and just be like, so this?
It's like this is cursed energy right here. Now this is Nen.
Yes.
2 whiteboards.
Yeah, we get all the whiteboards for every power system, and it's like us explaining it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it kind of makes sense close enough. You get to the point where I'm like, close enough.
Yeah.
That's how I feel explaining power systems.
Pretty much, yeah. Although, Nen is fun to explore.
Nen is like a system that's actually explained, where like you get the system beyond the powers.
Yeah.
This one, you get the powers. I don't know the system.
Yeah.
I get a few commonalities, but not much. Yeah. So, but I'm there anyway, so.
Yeah, but that's kind of it for airing anime. We covered Oppenheimer. We covered Barbie. That's
all the big 3.
That's it for the summer. Like
summer's over.
That's it.
Summer vacation.
How do you
is
feel
over.
about that? Do you feel like it went too quick, or do you feel like it was like
it was a fast summer? But it's sometimes it be like that.
You're like, I did everything I needed to do. That's it. I'm ready for fall.
I am excited for fall. It's really toasty out. I think I'm excited for fall.
It's just been too hot.
They're bringing back pumpkin spice lattes sooner, which I don't like. They're like already announcing.
You don't like pumpkin spice lattes?
No, I like pumpkin spice lattes, but like I don't need those in August, bro. Like what?
September is the time.
It's like when they start having back to school ads in like July. It's like show some respect.
Well, they're already selling Halloween stuff.
Yeah, show some respect of like time frames. Like we don't need this right now.
Yeah.
This is why we have holidays. Like we don't need to have like pumpkin spice lattes when it's still hot out.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a right climate that
ritual.
the right weather for it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of it for this pod. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will try to get Shaw to watch Oppenheimer by the time
And you'll try to read Jujutsu Kaisen manga?
I don't know about that. No promises. But you got to watch Oppenheimer.
Okay. I will become Oppenheimer.
No, I'll try to read Jujutsu Kaisen. Hopefully by the time the next arc is up. Maybe.
Like the next arc? Or
No, the Shibuya.
Shibuya,
Yeah,
okay.
maybe.
It'll be
Or
interesting
maybe,
to see.
I don't know. It's tempting because now I kind of want to see, like, experience it firsthand.
It would be a unique experience for sure.
Maybe I'll wait until like the first episode is out, and then if it's like super hype that I can't wait for the next week, I'm gonna be like, fuck it, let me catch up.
I think my prediction is at one point you'll get to a point with one of the episodes where you will not want to wait, and you're gonna say, fuck it, I'm gonna read it.
That's what happened with me in Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
when
that's
I was
what happened
watching
to us,
it weekly, I got to episode 5, and then I just said, screw it.
Fuck it, we ball.
Read all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And besides that, like it if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And what's the other thing we say?
We're just weebs.
No, wasn't there another thing we say? Oh, let us know something in the comments right? Something about the comments.
Let us know if you agree or disagree.
No, we don't care about that.
It's enough just if you watch the video.
Let us know if you like Barbie in the comments, or if you liked Oppenheimer better. And besides all of that, what do we know?
We're Knuff.
We're just weebs.
And just
See ya.